Yes, it's true. It's Stay on Target. It's true, and it's
Yes.
Stay on Target.
Yes.
We're here. It's a show about all things, mostly Star Wars things.
And it's true. It's Stay on Target.
It's true.
And it's true that we're mostly here.
And it's true. Star Wars. It's true.
It's true.
All of it.
All of it.
Yeah, so we're happy you're here with us tonight. And we're
Genuinely.
live on YouTube. We're live other places as well. And
Yep.
If
Two places.
we're alive,
It's
we're
true.
alive. And we're happy you're here with us. And we're going to talk about Mando Season 2, Chapter whatever it is.
7.
It's a mess when you try to say it. Just say Chapter 15.
G-
but that
G-
sounds
True.
that sounds weird, doesn't it?
Yeah, it
It's-
does sound weird.
the believer.
It's like a book club.
Believer.
We're going to talk about Chapter 15 of the book today.
Yeah.
oh, ho, ho, jolly good.
We're reading a book that's being written as we read it.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's just it.
Bookception.
You
This
just
is-
blew my mind.
I blew
This
my
is
own
crazy.
mind.
I do like your hat, Dustin. We got to
Yeah.
give props to the Yodster.
Happy holidays. Wait, no, I messed it up. Dang it.
Yep. No, he has no
done.
more speaking
See ya.
lines.
He's out. Fired. Well, let us know if you can hear us and see us out there if you want to.
Yeah.
We're going to do a spoiler section of this show, and we're going to do a non-spoiler section of the show, the Mandalorian show. We're on the second to last episode of this season.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
things are getting
It's
tight.
pretty hairy out there.
yeah, it's getting messy. So, as you know, there was some stuff that went down last
Wookiees!
episode, and we cried a little bit. Thus, the intro image.
Yep.
Spoiler. We put a little
For
rest in
last
peace
week's
there
episode.
for the.
If you haven't seen it, we're sorry.
We're sorry. We
spoiled
just
that for
spoiled
you.
it.
Yeah,
Well,
but,
I mean,
Well, I mean,
You
we
might
kinda
not know what
didn't, but
happens.
now
It
they
doesn't
know
really
something
matter.
happens.
yeah. So it's not
doesn't.
really a spoiler, but
Nothing
kind of it
really
is. So
matters.
check it out.
this
And
is-
if you don't care about Mandalorian, you just like joining us
Yeah.
and hearing us talk to fill your time as you're doing some
Oh, yes.
task that's monotonous,
I
maybe.
just want to hear the sounds of stay on target.
jazz.
Smooth jazz.
Maybe
we need
you're
to talk
out-
like this the rest of the episode.
Maybe they're out
Let's
shoveling snow.
They're out shoveling snow on the planet of Hoth.
Oh, it's lovely out.
And then they come in,
Beautiful.
drink some warm Hoth chocolate.
Hoth chocolate. Lando has
Maybe
created it.
roasting a tauntaun leg on a fire spit.
Oh, yum.
Oh, crispy bits.
Oh, man.
Are we on
Smooth sounds
Auto
of
Tune?
Julie.
Now they're getting the real full effect. It's a good-
Full effect. Auto Tune.
Well, that video is going to come out.
That video's
soon.
coming out soon. Yeah,
We got to make that video, guys.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
man.
gotta
You don't
hurry.
even know how
that
funny it's going to be
video.
until you see it. And then you're going to be like, that was so funny. I didn't know until I saw it.
It's
That's something I didn't know I wanted until I saw it, and then I wanted it,
And then I ate
and
it.
then I had it.
Crispy bits.
and that's how I feel a lot about the Mandalorian show.
Yes.
I'm like, I
Very
didn't even know I
true,
wanted
sir.
that moment
Right.
until I saw it.
And then it happened, and
That's
you were
exactly what happened to me
like,
last
"This is
week.
my childhood."
This is my childhood.
It is. It is.
Right in the fields.
Like, how many people out there were asking for a baby Yoda?
Right.
Nobody.
How
You
many
ha-
people even
Yeah,
thought
nobody.
about that?
Yeah.
Now, how many people conversations at their dinner table was like, is it Yoda's kid?
Right.
If it's not Yoda's kid, whose kid is it? Where
Yaddle.
Support
was
that.
Yaddle somewhere? Who's Yaddle? I don't remember Yaddle
Right.
in the prequels. Was Yaddle in the prequels?
Yeah.
How
Yeah,
much?
you
No, I'm
see-
saying these are people's
Right.
conversations. You know, they're second guessing their
I
whole
don't
life.
even know
throwing
who
me off here. I
Yaddle
was
is.
like, I will give you an education.
Yeah.
Don't you worry.
Well, you need to
You'll
educate them,
learn
Dustin, because
today.
people
I'll
wonder.
educate them.
They're, you know, I had to ask myself. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. There was another Yoda, and it was like a female. We thought of the
Yeah.
species, and
Had more hair than Yoda.
then
Yeah.
I started
kinda weird
rethinking
looking.
the entire trilogy. Remember that
Yeah.
the dark side is clouded. No, it's not clouded, Yoda. You were just so preoccupied with making children.
Oh gosh.
Whoa. You mean being a hypocrite?
That's
Yes.
it. And having children. You know what I'm
This is
saying?
a
Yeah, that's what I
family
mean. He's
show.
clouded because he was going against the Jedi way.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to have attachment.
Oh.
You're not supposed to cloud it as everything. Give me a
Cloud it.
break, Yoda. You just want to.
Child support. I will
Yes.
not.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's they got a lot of explaining to do if that's the truth, or was it a conception like Anakin? I didn't think that was possible.
Immaculate conception.
Unless it's a perfect clone
Or
Of
is it a
Yoda?
clone?
of Yoda.
Yeah.
Yaddle.
But then wouldn't Yoda have mentioned that?
Yo,
What-
daddle. I ain't yo, daddle.
I ain't yo daddle.
Like riddle me that then.
Batman.
If it's a clone, do they have some kind of like symbiotic connection? Wouldn't he know
Symbiote.
when he's explaining to Luke on Dagobah? Look how intense my
Wow.
knuckles are.
Are you having a stroke?
No, I am not. That would be
Can't
one
feel
side.
my
Oh, yeah,
hands.
First aid. No.
First
But,
aid. Dan's serious about this.
no, but seriously, like, would they
It's a
know?
real
Would
thing.
he know that? Like, there's another. There's another.
There is another.
And the Last Jedi you will be. Actually, no, not the Last Jedi you will be. There's like 22 more of them secretly that we're going to reveal over the next 10 years,
Right.
20 years.
Just a bunch of Ray clones.
No, it was. Oh man, get out of here.
How did-
I hope not.
Remember whose kid?
remember
whose
that?
kid is Palpatine that had Ray?
Yeah,
Exactly.
There's a lot of
It's a
explaining.
clone.
Show 'em.
Technically, it was a clone of Palpatine. They say was the son, but he went a different direction. I don't know. It's really weird.
does that work?
I don't even understand.
This is the
they
thing.
didn't even explain it.
When
very
you make
well.
rules and you don't play in the rules and you break
Right.
the rules, then you're the Mandalorian, just like this week's episode.
Yeah.
Oh,
whoa.
we came all the way
Spoilers.
back around. But
Double
they haven't
snap.
spoiled anything because I didn't say
haven't.
why.
That's true. That's
Also,
true.
everybody dies at
But
the
this,
end.
yeah, everybody knows.
I always have to spoil
Like
every
usual.
episode like that.
Man,
They always die and
every
then come
time you
right back to
spoil
life.
that.
It's amazing. It's
It
like
is.
It's kind of like a
black box in between us. You're right.
Dustin
No, I was gonna
Black
say
Square.
Marvel. Nobody dies in the
Kinda
Marvel
like
universe.
Marvel. You know,
They died and they
that
undied.
is one point I want to make. Every time you
Please.
bring back,
We're going on a
we're
Nick
going off on a
rant.
tangent
Let's
right
go on
here.
a Nick rant. I've been missing these.
in the new Wonder Woman movie, Wonder Woman 1984.
Did you watch it?
No,
Oh,
but the guy, Steve Trevor from the first one, is
Yeah, yeah.
back in this one.
how?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know.
I don't
yeah.
know.
And I'm like, okay, the rule
Spoiler?
is if you bring
It's in the
people
trailer.
back from dying and they sacrifice themselves, that makes their
Again?
sacrifice completely worthless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there was
Kinda
no
does.
need to do that.
Kind of like exactly what they did in the sequel trilogy.
Yeah. You brought back Palpatine, really? There was no
After
need to do that. He was already
Vader
dead.
sacrificed
He was
himself
gone.
to get rid
Even
of him.
George Lucas was like, "Yeah, he's dead. He's done.
No more
Why
Papa
are you?
Palps.
Why are you bringing him back?" That's just.
Oops, sorry.
Oh,
And
I
you know,
swallowed a microphone today.
Sorry. It's right in my.
It's right in his area.
What else, Nick? What else really grinds your gears?
No, that's pretty much
That's
it.
it.
Like,
That's it. It's
it just bothers me. It's like,
yeah.
why would you bring him back? Also, how is he being brought back? That's another thing. I was like, and he hasn't aged at all from the first movie. We're,
Yeah.
we're back on Wonder Woman.
No,
again.
Steve Trevor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I was
Steve
thought you were
Trevor,
talking
Steve Trevor.
about.
No,
Well,
Papa
and
Phelps.
that's-
Yeah,
I was
no, he
like-
looks
but that's-
great. That's as great as he did in the prequels.
It's a trope now. It's they all use it. Marvel uses it.
Yeah.
Star Wars now use it. Now we got Warner Brothers.
Nobody's ever really.
But comics have always done that. It's the only way to. It's the only way to continue the story without having,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But,
But
you're right.
I mean,
it doesn't.
It just makes it less believable in my book.
Well, and I honestly was that was the only thing about that first movie that I was like, well, that actually added some weight to this otherwise frivolous storyline in my
Yeah,
in
literally,
my
a
book.
Captain
There was-
America copycat.
There was some of that, and then you're like,
It's World War One
oh.
instead of World War Two.
But
exactly.
you know, then again, it's all about perspective.
Right?
Perspective.
But I mean,
In the
come
second movie, you find the loophole to go back in time, and then
Right.
it's Back
Oh,
to the
look,
Future
he's
3.
back from outer space.
So
I
it's,
just walked in to find you here.
it's all true
Copyright strike.
from a
Copyright
certain
strike.
point of view.
From a certain point of view. It just, I don't know. If I was a filmmaker, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
When people die, they're dead. They're gone. You can't bring them back. You can have flashbacks. Flashbacks are fine.
I guess it's better.
Just-
It's
but when you
it's better than her like the love interest of being like a 7-year-old
man.
no, a 7-year-old Batman, Bruce Wayne.
That is true.
well, and we saw that
That
in
would be awkward.
Yes.
Mandalorian. Finnick Shan, anyone? But,
Yes.
you know,
Connection.
it's
Last week's episode, Finnick Shan.
It's there's a undead situation there going
Yeah,
on.
right. Nobody's ever.
Oh, it's totally
really
normal
gone.
that she's back and she's
Well,
a main
even the
character.
Mandalorian was like, "You were dead." It was like, "Yeah, she was."
Yeah,
dead.
I died. That's
worked.
okay.
Yeah, but I lived.
but he rebuilt me to be better.
It was-
stronger, faster.
That's the way it rolls, man. Zarhimoto says, "LOL, good to see and hear y'all. Thanks for the check, Zarhi.
Yeah.
Check.
I'm
check
tuning
one.
in while
see ya.
doing some online Christmas shopping and some tasks around the house.
Nice.
Thanks for
Cha-ching.
joining. Thanks for being with us and
Thanks,
hearing our
Talk Studio.
lovely voice.
Well, that's good. That's what we're saying. You know,
Yeah.
if you're multitasking like that, you're out snow blowing or shoveling, or maybe you're mowing your grass if you live in a beautiful, lush area.
Or maybe you're taking a poop.
Maybe you're going for a jog.
Drinking a
You
nice
might
cup
be.
of hot chocolate.
Hoth chocolate.
Nothing goes
Tauntaun
better with a
haunch.
Yoda hat like some Hoth chocolate.
Hoth
Christmas.
chocolate.
Chocolate.
It's
Is that a thing? Is that like really a
It's-
thing?
No,
What?
actually,
So don't say it.
I
then.
made it up.
Don't say
in
yeah.
college.
Okay,
as
that's
a-
good.
Art project.
It's brilliant.
so you're
Yeah.
copywriting yourself.
I
So
am.
don't
Gonna
say it out
copyright
loud
strike?
because
Yeah, they're
Favreau
gonna-
and
I'm sure
Filoni are
they've
using
already
it.
made it. I'm sure they've
No,
already
they're
made
definitely going to steal that.
It's already
Yeah.
it's already in production.
it.
Now.
Copyright, trademark, copy, trademark, right?
Aren't there legal things you have to do to get that?
Yeah, no.
No,
You just be quiet over there.
you just
Hey.
say it. You said hi.
That's my hat, by the way.
What?
Yep,
You
copyright,
can't just
trademark.
claim everything.
I made those lightsabers in the
I
background.
made chocolate milk.
Those Legos. Okay, those.
There
really
is
are-
no
those
Queen
really
of
are mine.
England.
I bought, there is no Tooth Fairy. There is no Easter Bunny, and there is no Queen of England.
What
Name
movie is
that.
that from?
Yeah,
if
name
you
that
get
movie.
that in the comment section, we'll
In
give
the
you a Wookiee
comments.
cookie.
Yo, you'll give him a cup of Hoth
They're not-
chocolate.
they're
You get
not-
some
it's
hot
not
chocolate
real.
with a Wookiee cookie.
It's just you get bragging rights.
yeah.
there you go.
All right, yeah, that ends my rant.
I
Don't
love
bring
your
people
rants.
back from the dead unless it like. I mean, they're probably it's gonna make sense, but right now I'm just like no, just keep them dead.
That was the.
I just don't. Why?
That was the.
It's kind of like a cop
most-
out, really.
all
Yeah.
things. This is the all things
Yeah, this is
portion of the
all
show.
things.
Yeah, it's all things.
But mostly
yeah.
Star Wars.
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman.
Well,
You know,
let's,
actually, that's a good
84.
segue.
Yeah.
I will say that's a good segue because Patty Jenkins, who is the director of those two films, they just announced
Yes.
going to be doing Rogue Squadron, which is a new movie coming out in the Star Wars universe that she is directing. That is going to be set. What time era was that? Was that's around
after,
the Mandalorian, or is it?
Yeah, that's during.
I think it's
Was it during
Mandalorian.
Mando?
I think so.
Okay.
So Rogue
Wow.
Squadron.
That's fascinating, actually. So let's, we're, here I am. I'm right here.
Here I
Hey,
am.
Boxy.
I'm right here in the middle.
Oh, hey,
But
Dan.
everybody else is gone. It's kind of like that episode of, not an episode, it's the show called The Brady Bunch. You know, when they're like, hi, I'm,
Here's a story.
I don't know. Do you guys watch this show? I don't watch this show. Why am I the only one on the screen?
Ooh, look, we're all gone.
Well,
Now we're just talking boxes.
I am Dusty Yoda.
Yoda. Oh, Star Wars.
I'm still here. Hi.
Dada, Star Wars.
I'm busy.
Yeah, we're all having a good time getting some
Bisquick.
Bisquick. It's called Hoth chocolate. We're making some Hoth chocolate secretly off camera right now.
Yeah,
so.
but you'll see it in the shot.
Yeah, because we need some energy, and we're going to talk about Mando Chapter 15. If you're ready to dive in with us, we're going to give you our non-spoiler
did you want to do the
talk.
news?
Oh, yeah, let's
Things
definitely
that
do
came
some
out?
news. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
And then we'll go into...
Let's do our
you can put
news,
me back up
please. And as we like to say, we...
You may dispense with the pleasantries, Commander. I'm here to put you back on schedule.
yeah.
works.
Wait, who's
so
the commander?
I think
It was,
I think it's is it Veers?
No, like
it's
out
Piet.
of us, who is the commander?
Good
I thought you were
question.
getting sweaty about it. And I totally
Getting
went.
Who is it?
Who is it? Ooh.
Yeah.
Is that marshmallows?
I'm not 100%
Oh,
sure.
shoot.
It's not marshmallows. I am disappointed.
No, the commander is, I don't know. That's a good
Yeah.
question.
Who's the commander of this ship?
Commander's not really...
I am.
I think Dan would be the commander. It depends on the situation. If it's Rance, it's Nick. if it's Rance,
You know,
it's Nick.
I know you're playing me,
If it,
but you're right.
we know each other.
right?
No, but if it's sweaty Star Wars nerdy lore, it's me. And then if it's actually running the ship, which that's why I'm saying Dan,
Yeah.
it's Dan because
He's
the
probably
one,
flying.
He's the one who keeps us on track, and
Yeah.
well, for the most part, and then makes the show run. We can do
Right,
anything.
he keeps it
about
on
Dan.
the rails, pretty much.
He keeps it on the rails.
Keeps it on the rails.
Yeah, so did you guys out there in the comments let us know if you saw this new Star Wars news that just dropped? I mean, it was like info dump.
Yeah, it was
Wasn't that
like
crazy?
a lot. It was sensory
Yeah,
overload.
it was info dump that they just dropped on us because they were having a shareholders meeting.
because they know Star Wars is going down the crapper.
Well,
I'm just joking.
I mean,
I was just making a joke.
it was
Everybody. Don't
you
at
know,
me, bro.
Don't at me, bro. Well, it was diminishing returns, especially with the sequel trilogy, and that's actually it's real. It is
Yeah, diminishing
real.
returns are real. It's not
No,
a
I
good
mean, I
thing.
just mean like they weren't making as much as each movie progressed.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and it
if
really,
you-
especially after episode 8, it really just ended up kind of flopping on the face.
Yeah.
And then episode 9, which we didn't think could be worse.
It was.
I mean,
They exceeded my expectations.
I just was surprised at how bad it was.
Yeah,
It was
it
that
really
bad. And it really felt like a sequel to episode 7, but they had to include some things from episode 8. So I was like, what's the point of this? Anyway, but they info dumped a lot of stuff. Data dump
Dumped it.
on your dump face and
Dump.
into your brain skull. But so they dropped a lot of new shows. There's a ton of new shows coming out. We're gonna run over them here real quick.
With a car.
Let me grab that information. I have them all right
get that
here.
screenshot.
Hang on. I don't know if we have a screenshot.
I'm wired
Are you
now.
shooting the screen?
Yeah.
I shoot things. No. Let me go run this down though, real fast.
Yeah,
It was quite a dump. It was a
was.
big
There's a
day.
lot.
All right, we're gonna briefly go over excitement for each one of these,
A
but it's gonna
disturbance
be
in the
very
force.
brief because
Yeah, we got to just like say the show and we'll be like, or
yeah, that's how we rate it. Or no, it's got to be like a yeah, or a
Yeah.
or wait, what's a good medium one?
Are you giving a little description of each show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no,
No, this is how-
we're gonna read it and then
And then we're gonna react to what we think,
Yeah. Okay. But you're saying
No
the title of
explanation.
the show and
and then
a
just
reaction.
reaction. All right, ready?
just the title.
yeah, just the title.
All right.
All right, so Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing about that one, sorry, I'm already breaking my own rule, is It's who's in charge of it.
Yeah.
I think
Mando.
she'll do a good job, but I just hope the material that they're using is good.
Also,
And they don't wreck.
Also, Hayden Christensen's coming back. To
That
Darth
was
Vader.
exciting. I am actually excited about that. That could go bad. It could go good. I don't know.
Titles.
Just depend.
Titles?
Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm sorry. Okay, there's a lot to talk about. Next one, Ahsoka. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with.
Yeah. What is in between? What would in between be?
I'd be like, yeah, that'd be it. Or
What's a in between? In between and a yeah. I don't know.
just stick with the 3.
Okay, stick with the 3.
We're sticking with the 3. I'm not even going into anything. All right. So Ahsoka, we said.
Yeah.
And then for Rangers of the New Republic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andor.
Yeah.
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 After seeing the promo.
What Dan say?
Andor?
Andor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only the promo is the only thing that sold me on that one. So,
Get the image.
are you ready for the next one? The Bad Batch.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm always late.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Star Wars Visions. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember that one.
That's
so
gonna be
It's
anime version.
Yeah, anime.
Oh yeah.
But
Okay.
it's, the Star Wars galaxy through the lens of the world's best Japanese anime creators.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see if
oh,
that
yeah,
actually
yeah.
happens. That's the only thing. Sorry. Anyway, it should. Lando.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are they gonna get? Are they gonna get? Donald
I don't know.
Glover
They
for
haven't
Lando?
said. I don't
Okay.
know. All right. The Acolyte.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
It's iffy. It's iffy.
I'm
it's
gonna
in
say-
between and
because
of who's directing
who's
it.
directing
Yeah.
it.
I don't know who's directing it, but Acolyte sounds interesting.
It does because I want to see a perspective on the dark side.
It's a very tentative yeah for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine's a hesitant.
It's more of a
yeah.
question mark. It's more like, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
inflection.
It could come back to bite us. All right, a droid story.
Eh.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not as excited, but it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and then this is the new Star Wars film announced. Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of caveats to these things, but
Yeah.
all right. So, and then there's also an untitled Taika Waititi project. Yeah.
Yeah. Mega excitement.
Mega
All right. So
Taika.
out of all those, real fast, we're just gonna hit. Which one are you guys most excited, for?
I would have to say the Acolyte, but yeah, like we said, it depends on how which direction they
If you
go.
just went on the title alone, they're all good titles and they're all good graphics. Not gonna lie, they're all really good.
Yeah.
If you didn't know who's directing them, what would make you the most excited? For me, Obi-Wan
Probably
Kenobi.
Probably the Acolyte.
Acolyte?
For me, just looking at the titles, that's tough.
Yeah, it is.
That's really tough. I would probably have to say actually Ahsoka.
Ahsoka.
Just because I know who's in charge. Well, again, and I know the character, and I'm
Yeah, but if you
fascinated by the
didn't
character.
know.
If I didn't know about
who
the
was in
character,
charge, who was in charge?
yeah, I'm
Just
trying
going
to.
by
I
the
know.
name alone.
That's why I'm
Yeah.
going by the character. The character
Right.
Ahsoka, I think it promises us a lot of good stuff.
Yep,
Lando's,
it does.
Lando's
And it's a
logo looks
Jedi,
like
so I
a
like that. Other
McDonald's.
than that, oddly enough, second would almost be. I guess if it was just the title, Acolyte would actually be
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah,
interesting.
a good
Because
title.
I've played Jedi Outcast 2, Jedi Academy,
Yeah,
and the enemies in those games are called Acolytes,
Uh-huh.
and they're dark,
that's what-
dark side
yeah.
Force users and lightsabers. So that's what gets
And
me
the
excited.
the premise of it does sound interesting.
Yes.
It is set in the High Republic, which is 100 years before the Skywalker trilogy or
Yeah.
whatever
yeah.
series.
So-
sorry,
Skywalker.
and it's about a dark side user
Yes.
and like that kind of power
Jar
during
Jar
that
Binks.
time.
You
So,
saying big-
so
for
people
that, it's
that are-
interesting. It's just
Yeah.
who's directing it makes me slightly nervous, and if they try to push too much stuff down our throats, then I won't be as excited for it.
Yeah,
and that's the only thing
exactly.
because they have
That's the most.
because the High Republic
That's the point.
seems like it's very directed that way, like pushing
Right.
agendas, and
Yeah.
I don't like that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Don't
no,
push
don't
agendas.
push it.
in
Seems a
Star
little.
Wars.
Just tell the story.
Seems a little sketch,
Don't
but
shove stuff down.
But who knows?
For the-
It could be really good. We don't
Yeah.
know.
for the people watching, obviously, or listening to us right now,
Listening
it's
with
kind of we're
your
kind of bouncing all over the place
Visual
on
hearing aids.
what we're doing and what we're excited about. But we're
Yeah, we
just
just ran-
basically we have some various knowledge. Each of us know a little more about this or that, and the other, because when we hear about Obi-Wan Kenobi, we're like, oh my goodness, that sounds awesome.
Well, we've been
we instantly
for that
find,
one
we
for a
instantly
while.
are like, well, who's directing that one again? What's this? What's that? Because
Yes.
Mandalorian we love so much because of the director, honestly. And
It's who's in charge, the showrunners.
It's who's in charge. You know what I mean? That's what steers the ship. It's like when you're watching a movie. If it's a Spielberg movie, it's already got a peg up on some unknown. You know what I'm saying?
In
Or
some
some other
ways.
movie that you know.
Honestly, I haven't been overly impressed with a lot of movies he's come out with lately.
Sorry,
It
not lately,
used
but
to be, though.
I
You're
don't need
right.
to go
You're
back-
right.
I don't need to go into that. I'm sorry.
But you're right.
no
His
pulling
stock
punches.
has fallen a little bit. And when you hear Spielberg, because he's not always directing, he's producing some, and not all of them are great. Some of them have been flops, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They're
So-
they're still going to be good, solid movies. That's the thing. You can always count on it to be good.
Yep.
So I guess there is always that. You're like, I'm still going to like it.
So we know. Oh, I'm very excited about Obi-Wan because they had been hinting at that for years and
yeah.
years and years.
It's been a
But that's
long
also
time.
what makes me slightly nervous about it, is because it's been in production for years and years and
Yes.
years and years and years, and they still haven't been able to make it work. I think part of that is because they were actually going to do a movie, and then Han Solo bombed, and then they were like, "Oh crap, maybe we should rethink everything," and then we did, and then now they're making everything not movies and turning them all into shows, because that is a good way to promote things, and they can do so much more with it.
Exactly. I think the lesson from this, the biggest takeaway is not a lot of movies, but a ton of shows on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So like Disney's like, boom, we're zeroing in on Disney Plus. Like,
Makes sense.
our movie
I mean,
universe kind of fell flat, which you guys already said.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
We're going to jump into Disney Plus because Mando is making us so many subscribers, and our
Buku dinero.
subscribers clearly, I'm sure, if they look at the percentages of their 85 million or whatever they have now after 1 year,
Yeah.
nobody's canceled Disney Plus that started it.
Right.
Maybe they have.
No, a lot of people have.
Not as many as other platforms.
Not as many as other,
I wouldn't
but
guess.
mostly it is for the Star Wars content. A lot of
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Right. So
for
if they
sure.
can stagger Star Wars content, so you got Mando for these couple of months, and you got the Lando for these, they rhyme. Then you got Obi-Wan coming out in the summer, and then you got Andor coming out in the fall, and you can stagger those shows. So every 3 months, there's a new show.
Yeah.
I think Bad Batch is coming out.
Then you can still pick and choose what you want. But
Yeah.
if they can stagger them, right now it's just one show for
It's a
3
smart
months,
move.
they're out.
It's a
People
smart
will
move.
cancel it at the end of this month.
I agree, and then you can get it out to everybody.
That's when
Everybody
I
can
think
be
I'm out.
excited. You don't have to worry about other
pull
things
me
going
back
on in the
in.
world.
Yeah.
You're
I
going to
mean-
make buku dinero. I mean, you're not going to make those ticket sales, but you are going to make.
They have
Your
monthly
subscribers and a
85
monthly-
times
If you're
10 or
if-
whatever
yeah,
that
if
is,
you're
850
guaranteed-
million
like
a month.
$70 a year. Is it like $70 a year or something like that
Something
for
like
people
that.
that are subscribed to Disney Plus?
It's $7, I think. $6.99 right now. But if you do
okay.
the package deal,
Depending
it's
on
like
what it
12.
was. Yeah, so
But let's just say $7. It's their own platform. They control. They don't have to give that profit to anybody.
no, it's
Right.
straight,
It's straight
to
into their
them.
pockets.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if they keep all $7 of everybody's dollars times, let's just say they get to 100 million by the end of the year or something. That's again $700 million a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A month.
Yeah.
Like $700 million for one movie a year is a lot of revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a huge profit. 700 million.
Oh
right?
yeah. Heck yeah.
But these shows don't
Because
cost.
they make movies for like 250 million, and that's a lot.
And a Star Wars movie, they're making them for probably 300 million. And the marketing,
Han
they don't-
Solo movie, I bet they made that movie
Right.
for probably close to 700 million.
Yeah.
Because they made it
redid so
twice.
much. They made it twice. Yeah.
So
I would just
profit margins, I think the Disney share, because that's what this meeting was for. So the shareholders are
Yeah.
like, we want to get more money and we want to get it back in our pockets now. Let's get these shows going so everybody stays on all year because Star Wars is the main show, and then they're doing some Marvel stuff. They're doing some other stuff.
They did
too.
show a lot of Marvel stuff that we haven't gone into.
So keep the fans happy because that's what's working.
Well, and if you notice, most of the shows are actually, I forget how many, but Ahsoka's, Dave Filoni, and Jon Favreau are the,
that's
again,
good.
the
That's a good
executive
story.
producers.
Okay, well then that's
Ra-
way up there for me.
Yeah,
then.
exactly. Rangers of the New Republic are also Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau.
Well, then that's way up there for me. Then.
And I forget. I think there's one more that they're heading up. I can't remember the last one. It might be Lando, but I'm not sure. But I don't know if Andor is. I don't know if Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think Obi-Wan Kenobi is being the showrunner or the director or whatever is. It's a female. Is it Deborah Chow?
Yeah.
I think she's
That's
the one
who it
who's
was.
doing Obi-Wan Kenobi. I don't know.
Sorry,
I don't know a ton of her I don't know a ton of her work. She did a few episodes in the first season of Mandalorian, right?
Yes.
So at least she's got that connection with Dave Filoni. And the only thing that makes me nervous about Obi-Wan Kenobi series is if they don't have somebody like Dave Filoni or Jon Favreau, mostly Dave Filoni, at least for lore's sake, stepping in and making sure that this does not make the original trilogy worse. Because that is the problem that they did with the sequel trilogy. They ended up retroactively making the original trilogy worse, which is the one thing you do not want to do. You want to expand and make everything better and seamless. You want to prop up your biggest money-making machine there is and not degrade it like they did.
Yep.
So that's why I'm most excited.
Finally.
That's part of the reason I'm most excited for Ahsoka. I also think they're going to explore the whatchamacallit route. I think they're actually going to interconnect them all. But I think the big bad is going to be Thrawn for Ahsoka.
Yep.
I shouldn't probably be saying that if people haven't seen last week's
Well,
episode,
here you
or
go.
2 weeks episode.
Spoilers.
But
We're looking at the screen now. We finally got a graphic up, which is exactly what we're talking about. All the different shows coming out. So it's there's no denying it's right on top of Nick's face right now.
Awesome.
But it's everywhere. This is our favorite thing to do. But yeah, it's
this is some good graphics though. I do like them.
I was gonna say my comment for bringing this up on the screen is, if you saw that graphic up until 2020, you'd be like, oh wow, that's some good fan films.
Right. Yeah.
And now Disney is finally giving us and the fans what we want.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're branching out. We're like, just give us, we want to see pockets. The Star Wars universe is massive. You don't have to focus on the one storyline. You can go a million different directions.
Skywalker family.
I do think though the only thing though is Ahsoka, Rangers of the New Republic, both of those are taking place, and I think Rogue Squadron, all three of them are taking place in the Mandalorian time era, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, and that could actually be really good. But in some ways, it almost does limit, and I think that's why a lot of people are excited for the Acolyte, because at least it's a whole new time era that we haven't been in, the High Republic. But at the same time, I'm nervous about that. Lando, I'm not sure of the time era because they haven't said. There's no other details.
It's probably gonna be right after the Solo movie.
I would assume,
before.
and maybe that's how they're gonna start. They're gonna rebrand that.
I think they will,
and they're gonna go with their original plan, but they're gonna do it through Lando, which is a whole different take. It doesn't have the bomb factor of Han Solo, but I think they're still gonna bring in Alden Ehrenreich, and I think they're gonna finish their kind of trilogy. I think that they were trying to make the Han Solo kick off, which would be pretty cool. And maybe I don't know if Obi-Wan's going to tie into that at all. It's possible. But Ahsoka, the first time I saw the Ahsoka even graphic, I got super excited about that because all that looks like the world between worlds. If you've seen Rebels, and that makes me really excited for a theory that I've heard that they're going to retcon the sequel trilogy with the world between worlds and go on a totally different route than what the sequel trilogy gave us.
In a way, that would be
I would love that.
extremely brilliant because
and they could make their own universe now.
Make their own universe
with Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, and because they're the ones that are making the money right now. Let's be honest, they're the ones steering the ship
the right way.
Yes,
the right
exactly.
This
Sorry, I
is
just
the
stole your
way.
thunder there by saying that. Sorry.
Right. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the right way.
You know, you can't get enough. Droid story. Droid story is interesting. It's gonna be fun. I think it's actually 3PO and R2.
It's like 3PO and R2 are kind of helping this new droid type situation.
Okay, I feel like we've seen that, but
Right.
you know, it's fun it's fun to see the droids and the
If it's
creativity
done-
they have there. You know,
If it's done right, I think it could be a blast.
Yep, that one might be more kid friendly. Hard to say, but I don't know how
Because
many
droids
of
are
these
they're a big part of the Star Wars universe. People
yeah.
forget about that easily. But I mean, without R2, nothing, like the whole story falls flat.
apart.
Like
Yep.
everybody dies.
It falls apart. No, we need to be going up.
yeah, right.
But other than that, knowing what you know now, which one are you most excited for? And let us know in the comments, guys, what you guys are most excited for, and ladies, what you're most excited for. Because I think I'm most excited for still Ahsoka, but I'm excited for a lot of new content, though. I'm glad that they're branching out, like you guys are saying. What do you guys think, though?
Oh, I'm still the Acolyte.
The Acolyte, okay. You want to see a dark
And
side.
also Rangers of the New Republic.
I think they should have gone farther back, though, than the Acolyte. I think they should have gone
like
Bane.
super old
I think
Republic.
they should do Bane. The series Bane, That would be incredible.
Yeah.
He's the one who started the rule of 2. He is canon, and do the
Well,
Bane
you just
trilogy,
called it.
man.
They're going to do it now.
They're probably going to
Now
do
they're
it.
going to do it.
Which I hope they do because
Star
it's a
Wars
great
needs to hire
story.
us. I mean, we are so in line.
We're on the
with
pulse.
the Star Wars universe.
We're calling
it sounds self-whatever, but it's
Self-serving?
Yeah, whatever.
Self-serving prophecy.
Self-serve ourselves some Hoth chocolate.
Hot chocolate.
But
Soft serve ice cream.
Soft serve ice cream.
But it's just
Softball.
It's just being a
that's downy
fan
soft.
and in the universe. If you like something a lot, you're going to be a part of it. You're going to research when you hear a show. You're not just like, oh, I'm so excited about that, and have
then
no
just, like,
clue what the details are.
Yeah.
If you're really
Right.
excited about
Tune
something,
it out.
you're going to dig into the details.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to
Yeah.
nose right in the show.
Well,
and when
that's-
you know who wrote that show, then you're going to look into other things that they've done,
I mean-
and then you're going to watch those and connect them all.
Yeah.
Not necessarily casual fans. Casual fans wouldn't dig into it anymore.
Not
They'll
too
just be like,
deep.
"Oh, that's cool.
No,
They're coming out with a
but what
series."
my
but if you're
point
really
is-
sweaty about it, like
You're saying
sweaty.
I'm saying it's self-serving that we
Oh,
are
I'm
picking
sorry.
out
I
the
missed that.
ideas that
Right,
they are
yeah.
using now, right?
I gotcha.
It's
gotcha.
only because we're extreme nerd fans
Yeah.
and we love to dig into all the little details. And when you dig into all the little details, then you have an idea. Like when they mentioned a certain character on 2 weeks ago's episode,
Yeah.
and we freaked out.
Yeah.
Right,
And
yeah.
Because we've
everybody
been
were
talking
like,
about that for
And
like
you're right.
a
Everybody
year.
started looking who that was.
And all of a
the
sudden, people
casual
are
fans are
watching
like,
the Rebels for the
Well,
first
yeah,
time.
yeah,
and-
because Ahsoka,
Yeah.
there was
Yeah.
a spike in Clone Wars.
content.
Yes,
yeah,
Clone
which
Wars.
totally makes sense.
Yeah, because everybody's like, "Who's Ahsoka?"
Even like the Baby Yoda, and then
Yeah.
dealing with like, Yaddle and
Right,
prequel content. It's like, what's going on? Like, the casual fan just looks over like, oh, it's a cute little Baby Yoda. I wonder where that came from. Or the casual fan's like, oh, it's Yoda when he was a baby.
right, and they're like,
They just
totally confused at the timeline.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They don't even know the timeline because they're
They're
just
like, oh,
extremely
that's-
casual fans.
yeah,
They're like,
yeah.
oh,
He's
does this
younger?
take place before?
Right. Yeah.
Like, is this?
And then
is
they
this-
get really confused when it's like the Empire's back, and it's like, wait, the Empire left?
They're like, but this show came out between episode 8 and 9, so this takes place
Right.
before episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Where's
Right,
Ray?
yeah. Right.
You know?
See,
Where's
that,
Rey?
that is probably one of the
Casual fan.
that is probably one of the biggest like turnoffs I think to certain fans is because it feels overwhelming. And the time era, even for me, sometimes is confusing. You have to remind yourself
Yeah.
and be like, oh, no, it's this time frame. It's not this time frame. And when you jump around so much, that's the other tricky thing is like, okay, wait, are we the original trilogy, the prequels? Are we in between those? Which one are we at here? And now the sequels,
The
it's
prequel,
like,
sequel,
where are we at?
Original trilogy.
So I
Which is
think
why
this is almost a test to see what's going to be most popular in
Yeah.
some ways, and
Yeah.
are they going to stick with those? I mean, it doesn't really matter. You can go any direction because people.
Well,
pick
and
and
that's
choose
why
what they
they
like.
will always
Shotgun
have
effect.
Lando,
Yeah.
Obi-Wan, droids, those types of characters and shows set in the original Star Wars universe because there will always be casual fans rediscovering and discovering the originals for the holy grail
Yeah.
that they are.
Yeah.
So they're always going to make content now in that time frame.
Yeah.
What us deeper fans want are different time frames, new timelines, times that we haven't seen, set in between like,
Yeah.
this is cool, Mando after the, we've never seen this time. And it's kind of the ultimate book that came out in the 90s, Dustin. What was it called?
The Thrawn trilogy.
The Thrawn trilogy.
Heck yeah, man.
And it's set. That's when that was set, and so
That kept
for
Star Wars alive in the 90s in
It
some
did.
ways.
universe
totally did.
fans,
And then
yeah.
they re-released the original trilogy, and then they
Yeah.
had the next 3 movies.
Yep.
This is
So
crazy.
prequels.
I know, because it was like 80s, it was still big because it came out in the 80s, so it still was living off that hype for years.
83 was the
And then
last one that came
90s,
out when
you're
it
getting a
came
new generation, and
Yeah.
people are being introduced to it, but there's not
Yeah.
new content.
Right.
So they had to come out with something new.
So
and
it's
like,
and
oh, how
the
do we
Thrawn
keep-
trilogy
can
was
we
a
keep this alive. Yeah.
The Thrawn trilogy was a perfect sequel to episode 4, 5, and 6. And that's why I love it so much, because you have all the classic characters in it, and it just plays so well.
Yeah.
It's so good. So if you haven't read those books, go read them or listen to them on audiobook.
Go
They're
read 'em.
fantastic.
Please
I
do.
think everybody should, because if you're a
Yes.
Star Wars fan, you haven't read those or listened to them, do it. Do it.
Zarhimoto said Ahsoka and Kenobi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what she's.
I'm still
very
pulling
excited
on.
about.
I'm pulling for Kenobi
Yeah.
because it's pretty epic, and I've read that book, Kenobi.
I hope
It's
they
Legends.
I hope they go with that book.
I think they can. and
I
will,
don't think they're going to go the complete route, though, because
Yeah.
they announced Hayden Christensen coming back.
And Hayden
as
Christensen
Darth
coming
Vader.
back is definitely interesting.
Yeah.
It is.
What
It really
could
is.
that possibly? Could Hayden Christensen coming back on Disney Plus possibly right some of the wrongs from the prequel era? if they reenact some of the scenes or retell them with a little de-aging.
I don't think they're gonna necessarily. You mean like add like new scenes in the Clone Wars era?
Yes, to add depth. Like they did with the Clone Wars show,
right? Because that's
Anakin
the best version of
really
them.
cool.
That's the best version of the Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Well, Obi-Wan's been good all the way through. Actually,
Right.
I'm not gonna say that.
But because
Anakin,
you're in
that
that
was the
era,
best.
you could have Ahsoka. Because you're in that era, you could have Mando
you're
as
right.
Mando as a little kid or whatever.
Yeah,
Little baby Mando.
You could have these Disney Plus.
Baby Mando.
Again, it's all its own thing. You're not like. They're not like 20, 30 years ago. We got a Star Wars show. Well, what network wants to show it because they only have one slot for a half an hour and the budget is $400,000. Let's call CBS or NBC and see if they want to air our show.
It doesn't make
Go
sense.
through
now.
a crap ton of red tape back then.
Yeah, back then.
Now it's like no, we're gonna make our own kind. It's just like this show. We're like we have an idea for talking about Star Wars. We're gonna sit down and talk about it, and we're gonna distribute it. Through
the masses.
YouTube, just like that. And then we're like, well, we can take one step out and not have to edit it. We can just do it live and save a lot of time. We can just yammer on about
pulling back the curtain, Dan. Stop it.
So here we are, and we're just direct to the consumer, right?
Yes.
Straight to the consumer.
Right.
We create a product, we put it out there.
No, you're right.
Disney's even got one step up because they own Disney Plus.
And they have billions.
So
and billions
their
of dollars.
distribution, they can
like
create it and distribute
Monopoly.
it in their own house. And
The House of Mouse.
the Mouse House.
Mouse House.
And their fans, all
too
their Disney
real.
fans are right there, and they're already paying. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So it's.
I understand what you're saying.
Oh, I understand what you're saying,
I am
Mr.
picking
Krabs.
up what you were putting down.
Poking
down.
I'm picking up with your poking down.
Well, I'm picking up what you're putting down, Dan.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. I know.
Yeah, so they can
This
do-
couldn't have happened like 10 years ago.
No.
That's the thing. Nowadays, it's ripe for it.
I don't even think this would have happened in the last
5
year
years?
because
Last year?
2020 changed a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think this has been the path for
Yes.
since Netflix.
But-
got big.
Netflix.
This is they accelerated it because of this year. I'm telling you.
I don't know if it's because
I don't think they were going into this for a couple of years.
I do agree that it was, but I think a lot of this has already been in the works for a long time because I think ever since Disney Plus was announced and they knew that was coming out, I think they've been planning this stuff. And I think actually what happened was after Han Solo, I think that's when they really started to rethink things. And they were like,
I honestly
do
feel
a
like
show.
they've been juggling
yeah.
for years. They're like, well, we got an Obi-Wan Kenobi. Should we put it on the streaming platform? We don't know how the streaming platform is going to go. We got to see what happens with Mandalorian.
Right.
Well, let's start making a movie. No, the movie's going to suck because the last movie we made sucked. Oh, no, and the last prequel movie era, which was Solo, sucked. And that time, people, maybe they don't want to see that time era. Well, we don't want to spend that kind of money
They're
and
too
not make any
reactive
money.
to everything.
Yeah, so they've been juggling back
yeah.
and forth. And they're like, well, let's see what happens with Disney Plus. Boom. Disney Plus happens. Skyrockets, because Mandalorian's the best thing. Everybody's like Baby Yoda. It takes over the entire culture for a year.
Yeah.
Then 2020 happens, and the movie industry goes boom. You're not watching movies in the theater ever again.
Yeah.
According to them, I mean,
Did they
movies.
see it coming?
Did they see it coming? Did
was
they
it an
create
inside
it?
job?
Did they create
never
it?
know.
Conspiracy.
I think they did.
people.
Let's ask Mulan. But on that bombshell,
Oh man, Mulan. Oh.
it's all tied together.
Wait,
But,
did you ever say so? Dan, yours was Kenobi. Just to
Yes.
go back to that real fast.
Mine's Acolyte.
yours Acolyte. Mine's Ahsoka. Still. I'm also excited about the Rangers.
Yes, that one too.
Rangers of the New
That'll be
Republic. I
sweet.
think because that's gonna have what's her name in it.
yeah. Gina Carano.
Yeah, Gina Carano.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's
Dune.
cool.
Which I think will be interesting. And once we get into the spoiler saga of this episode, I think there might be an additional character.
Speaking of
maybe,
which, we should probably
potentially.
get into this episode.
Right, we've been
Yes.
talking about this.
So that was the
about
Star
other
Wars
stuff.
news.
That was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was hard not to talk about a lot of that because, and we didn't even get into everything. We could have, but there's just so much information. So
Yeah.
we'll try and cover it maybe in next week
Lots
or
of it.
another time or something like that.
But you're right.
Thanks
We
for
would-
putting your favorites there in the comments and comments
Yes.
later too. We'd love to hear about them and talk about them.
We would be irresponsible to not mention the big disturbance in the
things
Force
that
that
are
happened this week.
disturbance.
So,
And I am very excited.
so we're on that bombshell. We're riding it, and we're now going to talk about Mandalorian Chapter 15.
Let's do it.
We haven't talked about it at all yet,
On that bombshell.
except that we mentioned
We
one
need that
possible
sound bite,
spoiler.
On that.
Oh, don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
Chapter 15.
It's not really that big of a spoiler.
It was in a non-spoiler way. Let's do it.
Yep, that was it. It was just like this.
That was the non-spoiler right there. Done. Moving on.
And
10 out of 10
spoiler
Wookiee
section.
cookies. All right, no.
That was an amazing episode, if I do say so myself.
Yes. I enjoyed it.
Continue.
I definitely enjoyed it. There's some interesting stuff that happened. I will say I'm surprised at the direction they went in some ways. I thought it was going to be a little bit more of a. I don't want to spoil anything. It just. I don't know. It's not necessarily a direct. Like, you know how the end of season 1 happened, and then it was like episodes 7 and 8 were very
tied together.
Tied together.
Yeah.
And I think these will be as well, but it's not as much as I thought it was going to be.
It's not.
I will say that, and
it's loosely.
Yeah, but the episode as a whole being directed by
Rick
Famuyiwa did a fantastic job. I know we had gripes about last week's episode when it came to execution and stuff like that. This episode was done perfectly to a T. I loved it. The episode.
And you even said like you couldn't find really anything wrong with it.
I know. Maybe we'll talk about that in spoilers.
I'm still trying to think of if there's anything wrong with it.
Just to give a quick rundown of the episode without spoiling anything, they bring back a character that was in season 1.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
he's back, and they have to figure something out because if you know from the last episode, somebody is not with them, and they have to get them back. I'm being very dainty about how I say these things.
More vague.
Are you referring to Santa Claus?
One character is not with these characters,
right?
So then there's another character.
So they have to go to a certain planet, and there's some Imperials there that they have to
dispatch.
Well, not necessarily dispatch, but they need information. So the way to get the information is very dangerous in this area.
Yeah.
And there's some really good. I'll say there's some really good character development.
I think that was like the main focus of this episode.
That really is. But it was done in a way that was. It was very well executed, and I loved how they did it. It was, there's character development for the Mando. There's character development for this other character that I did not see coming, in a lot of ways. And that was a great. And he was probably one of my favorite parts of this whole episode.
Yeah, he was.
But there was also some epic action.
Yes,
the shots and everything in this episode were totally movie quality. Everything about this was like, I'm watching a movie right now. This is not a show. And I think that big jump actually happened from season 1 to season 2. If you go back and watch some of the scenes and sequences from season 1, it looks like they're experimenting on things and they don't have it all dialed in. Yeah. Season 2, it's dialed in. Everything looks fantastic.
Well, it's probably because they had more time. You know?
True, they had more time and
they delayed
money they threw at it.
Did they delay it? The release of it?
Of the first one?
Of this season.
No, it was always scheduled to come out this time.
We suspected they might. They delayed to give us any information as to what.
Maybe
it was done filming in like June, and it didn't release until.
No, but they had said October, November.
Yeah,
that's when that was last year. Was November?
I think it was always scheduled to come out. I think. I'm not 100%. But anyway, it's all dialed in. It looks fantastic. The story, the action sequences, I loved. I loved the character development and the twists and turns that we took. One character looks totally epic. I love the new paint job. I love seeing a specific ship that is one of my favorites. And even the interaction between all the characters in this episode and new planets. The planet was perfect. The one that they were on, like both the planets were perfect for what it was.
It's funny because the person who Rick Famuyiwa, he did the first season, episode 6, and it's pretty much very similar to that episode.
It's funny because he's dealing with the same character.
Yeah.
And that's what's funny about it. And even
I'm curious if he has directed that guy in something else.
Because that guy is, he's a.
Everybody bragged about his talents when they got him for season 1, and I liked him, but I didn't.
The funniest.
Of
the whole season.
But I don't feel like he had the chance to shine.
Yeah,
I
so
agree.
we'll talk about that more in
There's
spoilers.
so many other characters. I think it was hard, but he's still shown in those because he was kind of the ringleader.
Yeah.
But in this one, you really got to delve deep.
There was room to breathe, is what I mean. There was room to just be with them.
Yeah.
And showing the depth of that relationship and stuff.
And especially one sequence. There's one sequence of his acting that I'm like, this guy is an actor. He's not.
Marks.
He's known for something else, but his acting in it was amazing. Yeah. Plus, his humor is perfectly delivered, and it works.
That's why I'm wondering if he's worked with that director
and
before.
Maybe he has.
Because that director killed it with him. It was, the director needs to get the performance out of you to know what's going on, but the actor has to put it out there, too. So it's kind of this symbiotic relationship, Yeah.
But I felt like all the actors, I feel like were almost heightened in this episode.
They were.
Yeah. Because I think the director, in a lot of ways.
Except for that one droid.
Right.
But we'll talk about that on
some of the
next week's episode. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, the screams.
And the vehicle they were driving in was awesome.
Yeah.
I love that vehicle.
I was trying to. I'm like, is that all CG? And then I'm like, no.
Some of it wasn't.
Probably is.
Yeah.
But you're right. There were parts of it.
When they got to a
CG.
certain point, there was no way that was CG. And even when they
you're right. You're right. So that was
unless it was really, really well done.
And we realized, and Nick kind of realized.
I want to know that kind of stuff.
Nick realized that vehicle is it looked like a vehicle from the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Or at least a retro
you're right.
of the one from the Clone Wars.
It probably was.
It's probably like it's the same vehicle, but they've just,
Well, I'm sure Filoni's like, well, we can
kept
take this
modifying it.
vehicle and we can modify it.
Yeah.
Because Filoni's like, well,
Yeah.
what do we got in our catalog for vehicles?
Well, and it really makes sense too, because you're like, use what you have and what you got and improve it. And that's what, the Empire took the Republic's things and made it better, or just altered it slightly, improved upon it. And it's for a specific task in this episode.
Yes.
So we learned a lot of good information this episode, and it's really leading up to episode 8, the final
It wasn't a
one.
detour at all.
I wouldn't say it's a detour. It was a necessary step, and it was a very welcome one. And I think if it wasn't done with this caliber, it could feel like a side mission. But really, it was a step in the right direction, and it's all leading up to this kind of thing.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. Not necessarily, especially the last little bit was like, okay, we're doing this.
Sweet.
It's going to be awesome. So
that's it. Non-spoiler. Dustin said it all.
Sorry, I spoke way too
Yep.
much. I was trying to be
spoken.
vague. I was trying to be vague about things, and I'm sorry if you haven't seen it.
true.
We haven't given anything away.
Specifically vague.
I'm very
That's why we
specifically
wait till
vague.
Sunday, whatever day this is on your planet. It's been a
what are the
few
days in the Star Wars
days
universe?
since the episode released.
That's a good
Some
point.
people, like I said, released their review of it at like 12:01.
Right? They're like, oh, I just watched it. Don't know how I did
Like,
it because
how
it
is that
released
even-
1 minute ago.
Because some other planet is getting it way in advance, and they obviously are allowed to screen it ahead of time. And
Right.
so we like to give it some room to breathe and analyze it, and give you time
like a
as the
cheese.
fan to watch the show, and then come back and watch.
I know, because there's people
Our
online
review.
that come out with it like at midnight, or not midnight. They come out with their reviews at like 7 in the morning or like 9 in the morning. I'm like, who's had a chance to watch it unless you stayed up until 3 when it comes
Exactly.
out in our time zone
Yep.
or planet?
I guess, is that the trick? We got to release it really early,
I don't know.
and then people will be like, they just jump to it because they're like, oh, this one's already released. Blah, 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 blah.
I don't know. It's
Maybe some people want to be spoiled and don't want to watch it. They want to know.
Yeah, they like knowing the information going into it sometimes.
Yeah.
I am not that way.
I'm not that way.
Depending on what it is. If it's something I don't really care
if
about
it's
that
something
much,
I don't care
whatever.
about. But this, it's like always scrolling through stuff. It's like, oh, the Mandalorian. Blah, blah,
Right,
blah.
yeah,
I'm
you
like,
gotta
no,
watch
shut
out.
up.
Get out.
Yeah. So anyway, do you guys have any other thoughts on non-spoiler thoughts?
Chocolate. That's a thought. Hoth chocolate.
Yeah, there was
Trademark copyright infringement.
just from like just one line is there. Yeah, there was just some really good action in this one.
There was.
There was.
And character development.
Yep. So
It had a
I
lot
think
of weight
those-
to it.
Those were kind of the highlights of this episode.
Yeah.
It was.
Action and
and
character
I didn't
development.
know who directed it until the end.
I know.
It said
and I was
directed
like,
by, and I was
"Oh,
like, that makes
Perfect point.
sense. And
Perfect.
that's
Well,
the
like I said,
information
yeah.
that sometimes you can
It's
go
like
in
the
knowing.
it's like the other episode he directed in season 1.
Yes.
It's very similar.
Yes.
Exactly. And sometimes, like you said, you go into
Even
an episode
better.
knowing
Yeah,
who directs
it is
it.
better.
If you hear it's somebody that you don't like, again, with a movie or a TV
Right,
show,
yeah.
if you go in knowing that somebody you don't like directed, then you're going to kind of already have this slant in your brain like, oh, that's why it sucks.
Or at least you look for those flaws that you've known of in
Yeah.
their previous work.
But when this one was going on, I was like, oh, that's so good.
Right.
Oh,
This
that's
is
good.
great.
That's really
Yeah.
good. I'm like, I want to know who directed
It's
it,
like,
but I'm
where's
not
the
going to look it
downside?
up midstream. I'm just
Right,
going to finish watching this.
I'm going to finish being.
And then you
Just
were
going to be a
like,
human.
then you were like, yes.
And then I saw the ending, and I was like, it makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah, exactly.
Total sense.
That's exactly what we thought, too.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
That
And-
actually makes sense. That makes sense.
It's a perfect. So what is rookie Wookie?
Rookie Wookie. Yeah, we're rookie Wookiees.
What
What are you going to give it? Nikolai?
It's
Nikolai's coming from the cold, everyone.
How cool.
If you know that movie, I'll give you a Wookiee cookie, too.
Yeah, you will.
I would have to say, yeah, I'd give it a 10. Yeah, 10 out
Whoa,
of 10.
he's feeling generous
I
tonight.
can't, like, I probably have to watch it again
Well,
to
seriously,
find if there's anything
Yeah,
that
that's
I'm
the
like,
thing.
this is a problem. I don't think there is.
there's
Really.
only one minor gripe I feel like I have, and it's very, 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 very minor.
very
It was a
deep down.
great episode. So I'm gonna give it
Yeah.
a 9 because I haven't given anything a 9 to this
Yeah.
point. So I'm gonna give it a 9 because it was super good, worth rewatching,
Right.
Yes.
and I mean, all of them are worth free
Definitely.
watching, but
Yeah.
the Holy Grail so far this season for me was the episode
5.
with Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give this one a 9. So yeah, that leaves room for next week to blow our socks off, Dustin.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 10. I can't really think of much that was. I can't think of much that was bad in this episode.
I can't think of any drawbacks.
I can't either. I mean, the only thing maybe is it would have been nice if we would have, if it, like I was saying kind of before, if it would tie in a little bit more directly, like the climax of this one was a cliffhanger for the next one.
Yeah.
That was the only thing I was
But it
thinking was going to happen.
that
But
bad
no,
of a cliffhanger.
no, it wasn't bad, and that's why I'm pleasantly surprised that that didn't happen. But at the same time, I still love this episode.
Yeah.
I love this episode, so it's a 10. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
That's a 10.
it's highly ranked for this whole season. I think Ahsoka is still the top for me. But how they execute this episode, though, still is it's got to be, I don't know, 2, maybe the second best in my opinion.
Yeah, second best, I would
There
say.
you go.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe,
I'd agree with that.
He's not messing around.
You
anymore.
I ain't
green-eared
messing around.
Funny man, you.
Green-eared funny man. Yeah, so
Okay.
10 out of 10, 9 or 10 out of 10,
Yep.
and then 9
9
out
out
of
of
10.
10.
We're
So
gonna have to go through it back and
29 Wookiee
Yeah.
cookies.
look at all our rankings for each of
we
the
are,
episodes.
and then see how badly we were
Yes.
lying.
We were lying.
So on that bombshell, it's a spoiler alert. Here
we go.
I think we got a sound
Here
here.
we go.
Nope, wrong sound.
Wrong sound. Where's the other sound?
It
Where's
was
the other
somewhere
sound?
around here.
Yes,
Don't
yes,
Don't quote me.
Don't quote
Don't
me.
go on it.
Don't-
Oh, full strong with this one.
Oh yeah. Also, Zarhi Modi says, "Man who knew too little." Dustin's movie reference. Zarhi Moto gets a Wookiee cookie.
For sure.
That is a good call. That's a good movie too. If you haven't seen it, not for kids, but it is a funny movie. If you have not seen that one, check it out. It's called The Man Who Knew Too Little's with Bill Murray.
Yep.
It's
Yo.
great.
Did anyone get the one
Homie.
earlier? What was the one earlier?
I didn't even get that one.
You're stabbing me
Which
with
one?
your pen.
Which one did you not get in?
I don't know, the one that you said that I missed.
Yeah, what was it?
Well, that's
the one
why
that you
didn't
said
get
that
it.
I missed.
You come inside.
No, that was The Man Who Knew Too Little.
There was another
There
one.
was another one we did.
Oh yeah, what was the one earlier?
We don't even remember the one
Okay.
we gave
Yeah,
you.
well,
So.
Yeah, our brains are
But
fried.
it's clearly it's
Spoiler time. Yes.
no, it's like an eternal glitch. So that's it. It's like we need to add the dubstep rhythm in there. So spoiler time. We're going into chapter 15.
We should make a
Oh my
song
gosh.
with that sound.
All right.
All right, if you're ready to dive in, we're gonna get really nerdy. And the only person that was here just left. No, I'm kidding.
Business is booming.
Business is booming. Yeah, shoot us a
Dustin's
comment
dying.
if you
I'm
just
dying.
joined in with us. Yeah, send us a comment.
Oh,
We are
wow.
the ultimate
Nobody's ever gonna watch this again.
We're the ultimate destruction.
Star Wars fan, so we're gonna go.
On the side order.
We're gonna find more about this episode than anybody else found.
Probably.
Not really.
Are we still on auto tune, by the way?
We should be.
Oh,
but we're
really?
not. But it's spoiler alert time. So,
Auto
what'd you guys think of when everybody died at the end? That was pretty
Dude,
crazy.
it was
huh?
crazy.
That was
I
not-
was like,
That
I
was
did
the
not
twist I
see
was
that
not
coming.
looking for, but I wanted it.
I know,
No,
right?
Yeah.
I really wanted the Mando to die. I really had.
I wanted everybody to die.
a love-hate relationship.
We're
but it was
starting
mostly
from
hate.
scratch.
All that death and destruction.
Destruction.
Too much death.
I was in frame. I was out of frame. Now in frame. Oh, auto tune's always
They go
fun.
about your business.
It's worth
Before
it.
the empire.
Oh man, we
worth-
need to make that song.
It's
still.
worth it.
Gonna come out with the auto-tune album of Stay on Target.
Oh, it's coming.
It's gonna be good.
General Kenobi.
Hello there.
All right. Well, we gotta mention the what was
The elephant in
The
the
elephant
room.
in the room.
well, always.
First
More
thing
like
I'm
the
gonna-
bantha in the
First thing
room.
I'm going to lead off with is this is the first episode we don't see Baby Yoda in.
Yeah, that was a good point you made. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
weird that I didn't even think about it.
Oh,
But that's how
Baby
good the
Yoda.
episode was.
He's.
Are you even a fan, Dustin?
even a
You
fan.
didn't even
Fan.
notice the baby was gone.
You're not even a radiator. Oh, boy.
Yeah, I noticed
You
it
even
too.
oscillate.
I noticed it too. I was like,
oscillate?
this is the first episode since chapter 1, and even then
Yeah.
it was like the first 3/4 of chapter.
First
99 out of
100.
100.
Yeah. 9.9 tenths.
Yes, exactly. That the child
You
was.
know you can only
Yeah.
ran in campgrounds because it's past tense.
Ooh. Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
There's no auto tune.
No, there's no auto-tune.
I just threw up.
People everywhere.
But
who
you're
heard
right.
that just threw up.
It's weird not
Yeah.
seeing the child, and then you're like,
It
we're
is
worried
weird.
about him, but we
Yeah.
must take this side mission to figure out what we need to do to get to him. But it started off a little weak for me because I'm like, I'm
sauce.
pretty sure it's straight to the child.
Right.
Don't be dilly-dally and sending this person and that person to get somebody out of prison. But I guess you got to get what you got to get.
So is
to
that
get
why
what you want to
Is
get?
that part why you gave it a 9? Because it
It
was.
started off a little slow, and when I saw that character, I had little hope.
Really?
Hope. Yeah, I was like,
okay.
I think he's overrated.
Oh, really?
But I was proven wrong.
Whoa.
I
Because-
actually wasn't too upset by it.
Yeah.
I mean, we already knew he was coming back in. 'cause
I just didn't
at
like-
the end of the last episode.
It's
Yeah.
chapter 7. It's
Yeah.
the second to last episode,
I know.
and we're
And you're
bringing this guy
bringing back a character?
Like,
Come on.
Chapter 6 was
Right.
pretty good, but it wasn't my favorite because of just all the stuff that happened. There were some good moments,
Yeah.
but when I look at season 1, chapter 6 doesn't like, oh, that was the best episode of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right.
But that guy was good in it, but he was a bad guy. He was
a bad
definitely,
guy.
he stabbed him in the back.
Yeah. He betrayed him.
And then he did it again.
Betrayal.
I mean, Mando was doing what he had to do to make the dough.
Yeah.
So he was
Yeah.
willing to say that's his whole career is getting stabbed in the back because.
Right. Well, he works with scum and villainy. I mean, that's what he does for a living.
So, I mean,
We're-
but for me as a fan, that wasn't the first person I wanted to see. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, well, let's go get this scum and villainy and bring him back in the show. And now we're going to hinge the whole second 2 episodes on this guy. He's going to get the child back.
Right.
But that being said,
But
it was directed and he was written in a way that like added so much helped
depth.
add so much depth to Mando.
Yep.
Yes.
So for that
Mando-
reason, it was worth it.
it was.
He
totally was.
He really brought weight to the whole story.
Yeah.
And storyline and his backstory and Mando's. It was he made you think more about how things play out and his perspective,
Yeah.
which is a lot of perspective that a lot of people have. And that's what made you really think, and it even made Mando think. That helped Mando have some character
Yep.
development.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what was so fantastic about it. But he's also funny. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes
He hides his depression with
in the
as do us all.
yeah. Sometimes in the show, it's very serious for the most
Yeah.
part. There's
Yeah.
not a lot of humor. So whenever there's
Right.
some more humor added to Star Wars, I enjoy it. I think
Humor that works.
that
though.
works. You don't want to
within
cram
the
it. Yeah,
universe.
yeah. Because some Star Wars humor, you got to be careful about how you do it. But his kind of humor just really works
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's his character. That's his character.
Yeah.
So it's believable. It's not like they're just cramming in jokes to cram in jokes.
Right,
It's like
yeah.
no. He probably ad-libbed a lot of
Well,
it.
and plus he's
Yeah.
a comedian in real life.
Yeah,
so it made
exactly. So
sense.
That helps.
But it was his acting that really won me over in this.
Oh,
it wasn't
yeah.
his it was
great.
comedic timing
Very
about
good
things,
acting.
which was still very well done. But I actually liked the opening scene, the opening
I
planet.
like
I really like that planet because he's serving a sentence, and that's what they're talking about.
I
on the
love
chopped
the planet,
fields
actually.
of something.
the color palette they chose.
Yeah, everything.
That really struck me. I don't know why. It was just like, wow, this looks really cool.
Yeah, and
This looks really Star Wars.
yes,
Yeah.
and that's for both the planets in this one. It felt
Yeah.
so much more Star Wars than the previous episode.
Yeah, not we're in the
not
Mojave
Star Trek.
Desert.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
We're
Bright
in Star
Sun
Trek right now.
fan film,
Spock's
Bright
gonna show up
Sun.
Yeah.
any day now.
right. That's what it feels. We're on a planet.
Right. We're
You're right.
planet. We're looking for Spock.
And this Mandalorian keeps running down the same
This
hill.
alien child is at the altar.
What strange
Okay, William
creatures.
Shatner.
Right. Yeah, no,
Faster, more
sure.
intensity.
George Lucas walked in. Yeah, no, but the planet was pretty awesome. He's serving
Yeah.
a 50-year sentence, I believe is what they said, for breaking in and aiding and killing a New Republic officer. And trying to break out a criminal, which they did actually get
Criminal.
out, but then it got blown up. But
those actually-
spoilers for season 1. But it looked really cool because it had all like the Imperial stuff, and the irony there is that he was an Imperial.
Yeah.
which also
was he
pulled-
a sharpshooter?
I
'Cause
can't remember
what he was.
Yes, he was a sharpshooter. Okay,
sharpshooter.
fact checkers telling us he was a sharpshooter for the Empire, which makes sense again in this episode.
For the Empire.
But he's forced to disassemble Imperial ships at
No,
ship graveyard,
disassemble.
which was
TIE
cool.
fighters.
Seeing those, TIE fighters,
Yeah.
seeing those cool droids again, which was from the same episode
Yep.
of the one he was in before, episode
episode
6
6.
of
Six.
First season.
first season. That was cool to see. I thought it was going to be K2SO. Actually,
I know, right?
It looked
Yeah.
like
I was
K2SO.
like,
That's
oh,
true,
that
yeah.
looks like K2.
And
you see the full
that whole interaction. The one minor gripe though is the kind of funny. It's like, so the New Republic, she just got the title
she's just
of
a marshal.
A marshal.
She just got promoted to a marshal.
And she's able to just take any prisoner from
just
the
shows
planet.
up with little to no explanation.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
yep, he's in my care now. See you later.
They do say a couple times though in her defense, she's like, you know how many strings I had to pull to get this to happen type situation.
Did she tell anybody or did she just go do it?
No, I think they're not going to sit there and explain all the background workings, which they could have had like a quick little montage.
Right.
That would have been kind of cool, but that would have been tricky to do to make it keep it interesting.
Montage like
of her talking to like high ups or something, or trying to pull some
like the guy from Ant-Man that does the good montages.
Right? Yes.
Michael Pena.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like one of those montages.
that would be
totally welcome.
So let me get this straight.
But Bill Burr would be doing it. So it just starts with him like sitting in slave one, like he opens his eyes, he's like, how did I get here? And there's like, the last thing I remember is,
Yes.
Yes.
And then it goes
and then he goes back and he's doing the thing, and then she comes in,
the
and,
whole
narrating
episode's
the whole
going
thing.
through. Oh, that would be actually pretty hilarious.
and then where he
funny.
goes, because I like the part where he's like, oh, for a minute I thought you were somebody else.
Somebody else.
And then he
Yeah,
comes
when
out.
Boba comes off, and then Mando comes off.
Anytime,
Because he's freaked out by
Yeah.
Mando. He is like, in
Yeah.
some ways, he was freaked out by Mando because Mando handed it to him.
anytime all
own
of them
hand.
were on screen at the same time, including Bill Burr's character, I was like, if you had told a Star Wars fan like 5 years ago that you would get something like that,
right.
Boba,
Yeah.
Fennec Shan is cool looking. You got
Yeah.
Cara Dune and like New Republic stuff,
Yep.
and the Mandalorian. And
Right.
who else was it? The fifth one was Bill Burr.
Bill Burr, yeah.
The five of them together looked pretty cool.
Yeah, they
That
look.
was, there were some shots in this that I was like, that's the cover of a movie.
Yeah.
I want a poster of that.
Yep.
I want to see that again. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
there were a lot of those kinds of moments. And I think part of that is the weight of Boba Fett.
Yeah, he anchors everything
The
really
presence
well.
that he brings in. You're like,
It's just kind of
wow.
funny though that he's more of a side character.
Yeah.
Which Boba Fett has always been really a really well done side character.
Yeah.
He's
And that's
quiet,
kind of
he's
how
behind
they're
the
using him
scenes,
in
yeah.
some ways, which I like and don't like all at the same time.
I made a comment while watching. I said, it's kind of weird that Boba Fett's in the shot being told what to do
Yeah.
by the other Mando, who's our main character, but now I'm feeling like I just want to see Boba Fett do some stuff.
Yes.
Exactly.
You know, it's like, this is his ship. Why is he taking directions? But okay, he's working for him because he owes him
Yeah.
because of the deal.
Because he's trying to get the child.
And he's still in like honeymoon mode because he got his armor back.
Right. And he repainted it.
For the first,
It was Nice.
Yeah. What'd you guys think about that?
I was like, ooh.
It looked good.
It
That's
looks
what-
great.
He just looked so good.
I know,
He looked
right? It's
awesome.
like, it's
Every time he
returned to its
talks,
former
even,
That
his
glory.
voice,
is
the
like-
voice is what sells me so much.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yes. Did you know that they actually redid the voice of the original
Yeah.
Oh, to match.
Tamora Morrison? I think he
Yep.
redid the lines.
But
Yep.
after, not the original special edition,
I don't
after the
know
prequels.
which one it
'cause
was,
It
but
would have been after the prequels,
Yeah, I think
probably.
it's
yeah,
after the
would have been
prequels.
after
Probably
the
the
prequels to
Blu-ray
make it all
release.
match. I mean, that's one of those things that it kind of sucks for the original actor or
Right,
who
yeah,
voiced it,
'cause he's-
but at the same time, the through line of it, I actually like.
Yeah.
But it kind of sucks because then it's like if you go and film a movie and you're not like your face in the scene or your voice, it's just your voice, something like that. But you play a character and then like they do a prequel and then they just get rid of you altogether.
Right.
That would
Yeah.
kind of suck, to be
Yeah.
honest. But I'm sure they're still getting royalties, still getting paid for it. But you should have the almost the choice in some ways. Like when they come out with those special features and stuff like that, it'd almost be nice if you could choose which version you want to watch.
Original.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
they could do that on Blu-ray and stuff like that, but or digital download.
Yeah,
Sorry, that
yes.
was a little off tangent.
You're right. You can watch it in Spanish. You
Keep
can
it on
watch
track.
it in another
Stay on target.
language.
Right? Yeah.
Maybe-
Stay on target.
I think we'll get there eventually.
Yeah,
That'd be sweet.
I was surprised they didn't have like a Boba Fett series in the works, and maybe they do, but at the same time, it would be too much like this show, and I think that's why
Yeah.
they had to
True.
bring him in to this show because otherwise it'd pretty much be the same thing.
Well, wasn't this show basically pitched as a Boba Fett show?
but
Yeah.
they couldn't really use Boba Fett at the time.
At the time, it was too convoluted, and they're like, "Well, no, we're making a Boba Fett movie." They were talking
Yeah,
about
they were
an
talking
underworld Boba Fett movie, and then it turned into this.
That's
also- they
that's
also
true
had a
because that Boba Fett movie was supposed to coincide with
A video game or something, and
Yeah.
Oh wait, no. Was the Boba Fett movie supposed to coincide with the Han Solo movie, or was that the Lando movie?
No, Han Solo.
I think it was all of them.
I think it was Boba Fett was supposed to coincide with the Han Solo movie.
Yep,
and Lando too.
Which
they were supposed to share a scene. It was actually going to be that scene, I think, where they were playing the Sabak. I think that scene was supposed to be filmed from both angles.
That's just I like that idea.
Yeah, and I think that's what they're getting into with a lot of the stuff that's coming out. Ahsoka series, the Rangers of the New Republic, and the Mandalorian. I think all three of those are really going to tie in and culminate to some big event, which I think would be epic.
As long as Filoni and Favreau are in charge, or Filoni's, as long as Filoni is driving the story, who gives a snap,
the lore?
You know,
he's got to be the lore behind it. He's the only one I trust with the lore at this point.
Yeah, I can handle an episode or 2 or 3 or 4 that are not directed maybe as great as this other one.
Right, yeah.
But as long as the story is there and we have the characters that are leading toward, ultimately, some point, it's not just going in circles and wasting our time.
Yep.
But this show isn't wasting our time. No. It's taking us.
It's so good.
It's already taken us in crazy places. It's like we're kind of spoiled at this point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we really are.
Spoiler alert. We're spoiled.
And I'm still not surprised, but how much this show has taken off compared to the sequel trilogy again. Baby Yoda dwarfed the sequel trilogy. Everybody.
Yes.
Everything in the sequel trilogy, it was like Baby Yoda just outshines all of it. I mean, really.
Well,
Mandalorian.
Things like you didn't know you wanted to see, but you were like, this is amazing.
And that's what George Lucas always did. That's the creative genius of George Lucas. And it was perfectly described from one of my favorite guys in the Star Wars universe. No, Starkiller. I always forget his name for some reason. Sam Witwer. He described it as George Lucas is a genius, but people don't always. Yes, Maul, and exactly. But he explained it like this: George Lucas says an idea, but just because it's never been done before, you think it's a bad idea. But then he pulls it off and he shows you, and then you're like, wow, that was a fantastic idea.
Right. Yeah,
but it's just because it has never been done before, you didn't realize it was a good idea until you see it. Or it's executed well. And that's kind of the genius of George Lucas in a lot of ways. I mean, that's why he created ILM. That's why he helped create all this new stuff for the film industry, Yeah. And I think Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are continuing that with their technology for how to shoot these episodes and keep them budget friendly and make them look so fantastic. And they took his green screen idea and I think elevated it to the whole next level. Yeah. And that's why,
it's all
again,
LED displays.
They're the heir apparent in a lot of ways to me. I mean, Dave Filoni mostly, but Jon Favreau is a perfect addition to that with all of his knowledge.
Which is why you said this season has leveled up to like the film quality, because I think they're really being able to harness that technology. Because like to a point where I'm like, I don't know if that's CG or real.
Right.
It has to be real at times, but then I'm like, oh man, I just can't tell. Is that the 3D background? I'm looking for it. Is that the digital background?
Yeah, it's or
is that like a real
hard
place? Like this, the way they're standing in the room, it feels like this could be a 3D set.
Yeah.
With the walls, the video walls.
Yep.
But I'm like, no, there's real foliage blowing in the wind there. But is that fake?
That's the tough thing. Yeah.
It's just so much better than green screen. And then with the lighting, and when they turn the shot and the camera moves, the background moves with it.
Yeah, and
which
it's so
is
seamless.
insane.
It's like, I don't know how this is happening.
Trying to do video effects like with somebody on a green screen and then like moving the camera, and now your head just explodes because now you got to move everything and make it feel real.
Plus the whole lighting, lighting is really what gives you the, it takes away that suspension of disbelief because the lighting is also reflecting off of everything correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially his helmet and
but is that real or is that all just CG?
I'm sure some of it's CG, but I think a lot of it is also why they did it that way, because they have almost 180 or is it over 180 degrees of their digital screens.
And then they can touch it up in post, but it's not like they're not having to rely on all the touch up. You know what I mean? Which again saves them time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So they can focus on.
You don't have to move to any location.
Yeah,
you literally just film it where you are.
I'm sure they do. They had to have gone to a lot, but I know what you're saying. Yeah,
but like then you can just use that 3D space and just change the background, and you're on a completely different planet now.
Yeah,
yeah.
And then you can pre-render all that ahead of time.
Yeah.
And
if we had that ability for our fan films, holy cow, that would be amazing. We could do some epic stuff, because half the battle for us for doing
it's locations.
It's location.
It's locations.
Time, lighting.
Yeah.
Props.
Budget.
Budget's the biggest thing, really, but its location was the next step. Was trying to find where to film
well,
it.
That's
why
all fan films are like in the bright, hot sun of a semi-desert,
right?
Or
it's the fan films are
or
always
a jungle.
It's always forest,
forest.
or it's like beach, and or it's desert or like sand.
It's rough.
That's
cold.
why we live on
everywhere.
Hoth.
Exactly. We
Hoth
gotta do it.
That's why nobody does a
my
fan
idea,
film
don't take it.
on Hoth.
There are so many reasons why
We
people don't
need
do
to-
it.
we
in the
should do
snow.
that.
It's so
Well,
challenging in the
that's
snow.
what
It
we're
is.
thinking.
But we need to.
Yes, exactly.
Also,
The biggest, it's one of the biggest
we
things.
may lose a limb.
One of the biggest challenges for doing it in the snow is actually for me
Continuity.
is continuity with even the snow prints,
Yeah.
like your
That's
footprints
the
in
only
the snow.
problem.
You have
Well,
to.
and
You have to think
you
so
would
far in
have to-
advance.
Yeah,
You'd have to fix it
unless you just didn't
in
show,
post if you
Right.
have, and it's got to be like tiny little errors,
or if
not like a whole field.
or if you do it on a pre-packed area, like
Yeah.
you have to explain that though in some way. You can't just have tracks
Yeah.
that you're fighting on for no
Exactly.
reason. That's the challenge.
Yeah.
There's so many
Yeah.
challenging things to do it. Anyway, we've really gotten away from this
We
episode.
really have. Okay.
Actually, tracks will bring us back into
Tracks,
it. I really
yes.
like the vehicle they were
Yeah.
in.
I don't know
Yeah.
what those were.
Let's get to some of the good things about this episode because
The
there
good
are
things.
a ton of what
a juggernaut.
juggernaut.
It could be a juggernaut.
Fact checker says it's a juggernaut.
Oh well, yeah, because they are called.
Is
that's their call sign, I think. When they,
I don't
when
know
they're
the actual
driving. It's
name
like Juggernaut
of the
3,
vehicle.
4.
Yeah.
Maybe the fact checker can look it up
Yes.
if it's even.
Yeah,
able
but
to
it
be
looks
found.
like it looks like one of those troop carriers from the Clone Wars.
Yeah, it does look like a troop.
I don't remember
transport.
what they're called. They're like
Also, the
AT
same.
something.
And actually, in the
Yeah.
Clone Wars, they have those on what's it call it? Oh shoot, Kashyyyk.
Kashyyyk.
Remember when they're running like it's like
Yeah,
rolling
that's
through the
what I'm
woods? And
saying.
there's- yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
They're called Imperial Combat Assault Transport, or also referred to as the Juggernaut.
They're also they're referred to as the Juggernaut. So what's
okay.
the first part again? I'll repeat it.
Imperial Combat Assault Transport.
Okay. So it's Imperial Combat Assault Transport or
Yeah.
a Juggernaut.
Juggernaut.
And they're transporting Rhydonium.
Rhydonium.
Which-
yes, very
Right.
volatile stuff.
Yes, it's very volatile stuff.
What
It's
is it?
it's shown up in the Star Wars
Yeah.
universe a few times.
Is it fuel?
I think
don't remember.
I don't know. It's I think it's a special fuel or it's just used as an explosive.
Or it's like powered. Yeah, I guess fuel for power source.
yeah,
something
I
like
forget
that.
exactly
Yeah.
what it's used for, but I think it is for like
Rhydonium.
starship fuel. Okay, it is starship fuel.
Starships.
And it's super volatile
Yeah.
stuff, and that's part of what's going on in the
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
But let's touch upon. So
part was
they get
crazy.
him on the ship, and one of the things I love right off the bat when he gets on the ship, and he's kind of it's funny because he says that line, "I thought you were somebody else," and then he
Yep.
walks down, and it's Mando, and he's like, "Oh crap!" And then they get on the ship. And one of the coolest parts too is they actually account for the attention to detail. Is when they get in the ship and they sit down and he starts to take off, it rotates because
Yeah.
internally they have a
On the
rotating.
slave one.
Yeah, on
Insane.
Slave One, the ship. I'm sorry. It rotates to account for gravity, which is how that's the attention to detail that's been for years.
Yep.
And I'm so glad that they actually shown it because you've never seen that before.
And they've done it in even the Lego set.
Yeah.
Of the Slave One build. Like
There you go.
it actually like rotates.
And I love that. I love that fact. It's just a small thing, but
Me
it's
too.
so
Right.
cool to see.
When they were sitting there and all of a sudden the back is like
Yeah, it's like
swiveling, I'm like,
I was
I've
like,
never
"Ooh."
seen this before. This is awesome.
It took it to another level.
Never been inside
Well,
of
I
his
mean,
ship as
you'd
it did
almost-
its thing.
Yeah.
You'd almost have to like, come to that conclusion on your own. Because in Attack of the Clones, whenever Obi-Wan's fighting Jango
Yeah, they
Fett,
jump on the ship, yeah.
But
Boba's inside and he has to like
he's
sit up and look out
Which
because
is-
he's laying down.
so that
Yeah.
part of the ship doesn't actually rotate. That's kind of the funny
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
It's the cockpit does not. I mean the two main seats don't rotate. It's
Yeah.
the inner
It's
part.
the inner cargo hole.
Cargo
Yeah.
and engine
that
section.
rotates, which is kind of
Yeah.
funny. But those are the. Go ahead, fact checker. What? It's kind of like a spaceship.
It is a spaceship.
Well, it's just
Like NASA has rotating things in it.
It's kind of like a spaceship.
Oh, she's saying like at launch for
Oh.
when
Oh, yeah,
spaceships
yeah, right.
take off, they're
Sure, that's what
laying
she's
down
saying.
and then they shoot, and then when they get
It's
to
kind
space,
of like a spaceship. What are the other ships?
Kind of like when you're in an airplane
an
and the
airship.
airplane goes up and you lean back,
Yes.
Yeah.
and then when
And
it comes
everything
down, you lean
rotates.
forward.
Right. The whole
Pretend you're
airplane
on a-
the inside, you're just rotating constantly.
You're on a gyroscopic gimbal, so when the ship moves, you stay flat.
It's like a
Yeah.
very
How is this
enhanced
possible?
VR display.
Experience.
It's like, wow, oh no.
Yeah,
I'm
but
upside down.
But we got Slave One for the first time. We didn't even know we wanted it
Yeah.
last
Again.
episode.
Yeah.
For the first time last
was like,
episode,
what?
and then it was like level 2.
Yeah.
Here's like
Yeah.
inside Slave One. Watch it take off 45 times. Let's see it shoot some ships. Let's see the coolest weapon.
Seismic
charge.
They brought it back from the prequels. So good.
Oh man, I love that noise.
Fits continuity wise.
Right.
It's there. It makes sense.
Well, we said
I love
earlier
it.
it didn't sound exactly the same.
No,
oh, true.
'cause it
But
was in
Dustin had a
atmosphere.
reason, and Nick,
Yeah.
because it was in.
'Cause, yeah,
I said it was because it was in the atmosphere, whereas the
also,
other
I
one
think
was
they
not.
wanted to like
Yeah.
Maybe they wanted to
you know,
alter it. It's a lot
alter the
farther in
sound
the
because it
future.
was hitting the TIE fighters.
Oh,
too.
there's that too. Yeah.
So maybe it just when the TIE fighters got hit, it drowned it out.
But that's one
Drown
of
it
the,
out.
other than the lightsaber, I'd say that is probably one of the coolest sounds they've ever come up with in Star Wars.
Yeah.
The absence of sound and then the
Right. Yeah,
So
watching
cool.
the second movie in theaters, you're like, what is that?
yeah,
You're like, oh god,
yeah.
my ears.
ears,
I'm
they
bleeding.
gone.
Oh no, not again. No.
But it's so cool because it takes away. It's like,
Right. Yeah,
Let's
it's
see if I
like
can find it.
I don't even know how to. It's like black hole
it's kind of
collapsing.
it's like the calm
Something.
before the storm type thing concept. That's what makes it really cool.
yeah.
I think if
That's
you
cool.
look it up, it's like the third one.
No, I found it. I mean,
Seismic
I'm just
Judge.
comparing. So here's the original trilogy. Let's see if I can
okay.
play
Yeah.
it.
Well, you might have to
Yeah,
be
you
careful.
can't play the whole thing.
You're
Yeah.
right.
Right. Just
It's just yeah, they're not having the sound. They're just talking
the
about
third
it.
one's the one, but
Yeah, there
it
you
goes through a little bit before you get there.
Forget about
Yeah.
it.
Forget about it.
Oh, this is
It's
what you
just
guys.
super
This is what you
loud.
guys were talking about for the
Yeah.
your idea. Okay.
Yep,
Well,
yep.
either way, it sounds different, but it was amazing to see.
Yes,
It was.
And it was
Totally
a clever time to use it as he was trying to make his escape.
their escape. Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
why I brought that whole swiveling thing up on the inside. Was that's the kind of stuff that gets you excited about Star Wars because it's not just a blanket thing. You know,
Yeah.
it adds to the story.
Yep.
It gets you excited. You're like, that's really cool. That's the
Yeah.
really cool stuff I like to see in Star Wars because
Yeah.
it makes you think, wow, how does this ship work? It gets me excited to learn more about his ship
Yep.
and see the internals of their ship. Like even with the Razor Crest, I was excited to see the internals of the ship because I'm like, how does that all fit together? How does it all work? And that's even building the Millennium Falcon when we did. It's cool to see the rooms and everything like that, see how things
yeah.
go together. Because when you're watching the films, they always just show it on the inside,
Yep.
and they don't give you like a tour, a
Right,
lot of
yeah.
the time.
It's like, oh, which room?
So you don't know how everything connects.
Yeah,
It's a little
exactly.
disjointed in your brain. You have to try and figure it out. But seeing it live like that was just really cool. I really enjoy that stuff.
Yeah.
It made me feel like a kid again watching that in certain ways. And it's a small thing. But anyway,
Small things.
they get to the planet. The one that they're going to, which they find out that there's a, what did he say? He said it's on Morak. There's a Imperial
refinery.
refinery on Morak,
Yeah.
and he's like, nothing's on Morak.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
Right.
Yeah, Morak.
It's like Morak.
But then, so he knows about it, obviously, because he worked for the Empire. And that's why they needed him. The whole point of the episode was
Yeah,
they needed
because he
somebody
has-
who knew the
Well,
Imperial
right.
codes
Yep.
to get
I
them
just-
in.
And he needs an Imperial
That's where I was
terminal.
dubious at the beginning because I was like,
Dubious.
okay, we got this amazing squad
Right.
who stops for nobody, and they're now like
And then they
kowtowing
stop
to this.
for the nobody.
Yeah, they just felt like they were kind of like bowing down to this like guy, using him because they had to in a friendly way. Like they were kind of being warm to him. Like,
Right.
well, it's up to you, man. You tell us where we gotta go because we have no idea how to save the child. It felt
Right.
that way at the beginning. I was kind of like, come on, man. Like you guys can figure it out. Surely there's another way. You know, use your connections otherwise.
Yeah.
But
I don't. Well, yeah, but there's no other way that we would know of. They would have to introduce a whole nother way
Yeah.
to do it. That's the problem, and I think that's why they did this
Right.
way, because he's the only Imperial the only Imperial that we know of that would have leverage to help them.
right.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying. It did feel
felt-
like they're
at that
trusting
point,
this
yeah.
person that already betrayed him.
Right.
Yep.
And then
And
it felt like already he was already kind of like, well, I got to go to Morak because that's where you're going to go. And I'm like, wait a second. Are you
Right.
telling me?
It's a trap.
At that point, I'm like, he's literally going to set them up or something.
Yeah.
What
Right,
if he's
yeah.
double crossing them and he just got out of prison? Like,
Well,
for
that
me,
was the twist of the episode.
Right.
Yeah.
The story felt like like you said, I didn't expect it to go this way.
Yeah.
And then it double backed and then it flipped a totally different direction,
Yes.
which
Yeah.
that's why I ended up liking it because
Which makes it even better.
it resolved. Yeah, it does. That's 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Not 10, but
Not
9
10,
out of 10.
But 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
What's the docking one? You just weren't overly impressed in the beginning and with the character, or that it didn't tie directly into 8? And I have a theory about that. I also have a theory about that. I'll let you finish.
What's that?
Aha.
What are they holding up?
Sound.
But my theory also about why it didn't connect super well.
Brilliant.
Why it didn't connect super well to episode 8 is because I think episode 8 is going to end on a cliffhanger. I just have a feeling.
I have a feeling
that episode 8 is going to end on a cliffhanger,
we
so
go.
that they want everybody to get
TIE
back.
Fighter. Yeah. No, I agree. I think there's almost no choice now.
now.
There, yeah. Right here. Yeah. Right here's good.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Ready?
seismic
Listen for
charge.
this.
Action.
Seismic charge.
Yes. Yeah, see, because it has the
Blowing
TIE,
them up.
The exploding TIE versus
Yeah.
the bong.
That's the
wasn't
in-
as
I mean, they do have it
atmosphere.
in episode 2. It does explode and then hits rocks and or the asteroids, and it makes that sound. But
It's
I think it
slightly
was
different.
I think it was just because it hit them immediately.
And
That's why it wasn't as
They
loud.
added in the explosion sound. I know what
Yeah.
you're saying. They actually, if you listen to it closely, they added an explosion sound. Listen to it one more time. Listen for the explosion sound.
Listen for the explosion. Yeah, it's like brah, brah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I think changes.
I
it a
just
little
like
bit.
how they designed it to basically suck the sound out of the room first.
It's
and
like
then
an implosion
yeah.
first, and then
My eardrums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gathers
Sure.
the atmosphere around it and sucks it in and uses it as energy
yes.
to
Yep.
explode out.
Oh yeah, let's get back to the story now.
Back to
Exactly.
the story, because we haven't even touched upon a lot of good points, and we're
Yes.
running out of time.
Lots of good points. And they are.
No, so they get to the thing, and I love the
The thing.
interaction.
They get to the thing.
planet Morak, and I love the part where you never know. The whole time they're like, okay, he's gonna double cross us. They all are thinking that at least the whole time. They're
Yeah.
like, he's gonna double cross us, so we can't let him go alone. And that was the thing is the planet is run by ISB agents, or previously
Imperial
ISB
Security Bureau.
which is the Imperial Security Bureau. They're kind of like the SS in some ways they're the ones that are looking for traitors in a lot of ways. They're like the CIA, the FBI, the ones that are on the inside trying to find out who's for who in a lot of ways. So they're really smart, and they're always looking out. They're, agents, So anyway, that's why it's a little challenging, and that's why not anybody could go in with them. And that's what is kind of funny about this episode in some ways.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you can't send Cara Dune because she's a Republic commando, or she was a drop ship, or what was her? She was a drop trooper, or
Shock Trooper.
no, shock trooper. Is that what she was?
I think she was a shock trooper.
shock trooper. And then so obviously clearly
She's going to be in
Republic,
the
and she has
Republican
the
database. Yeah.
Republic tattoo on her face. So there's that one's gone. And then Fennec Shan, they ask Fennec Shan, and she's like, "No, I'm wanted by the ISB." That was pretty funny, and I think we're gonna learn a lot more about her and the Bad Batch because she shows up in that.
It was interesting.
She's
to see
in
the
that trailer.
I think we're gonna like that more. I think we're gonna like her more now.
Morak.
That we're seeing that, and she's also like a pretty good sidekick to Boba Fett, which kind of works. Boba Fett, where? And then Boba.
And then
Boba Fett was the funniest part.
He's like, I think they might recognize my face.
That
that's
was
what he said.
awesome.
Yeah.
That was
You're
a
like-
good line.
And I didn't even think about it at first, and then I was like, oh yeah, duh. He's
Right,
the basis for the clones. I mean,
Yeah.
they would know a clone
Yeah.
face. Although he was pretty scarred up, but still,
he probably could have passed.
it's still
But, I mean,
they would have realized. And the scan.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the same
Well,
youthful
no, see,
charm
but-
that he had
okay,
from.
but
Yeah.
Boba could have done it if he just kept a helmet on.
Kind of like,
You know?
but it was a body. Wasn't it a whole body scan too? Like a
Well,
whole like.
No, it was a facial scan. If Bill, yeah,
Well, and I
'cause
thought they
Bill
said
Burr
something
was
else,
gonna be
though,
the one
but-
to scan it.
Right.
Yeah, he was originally. So that's why Mando ended up going with them, because he didn't think he was going to have to do
Yes.
the scan or be scanned. But
But
the
at
other
least
thing,
he
I
could
thought
be
it
an
was a
assistant.
DNA
He-
scan. I thought they said it was like DNA scan.
Maybe.
It was only.
All
It's
I'm
just
saying
to check
is-
if you were in the database.
Okay.
Of
It,
the
it
Empire
felt a
of
little
the New
convenient that
Republic.
of all things they gotta get your face.
Yeah. Which is honestly, I did not see that coming.
But
What happens?
Yeah.
Yeah.
same here. But
We got to talk about that.
with the way the story moved, it made some sense as well because I was like, okay, that kind of took our Mando out of his
his
proverbial
norm.
turtle shell.
Yeah, really. It's true, his armor.
Yeah.
And that showed some character development in a lot of ways. So
because they
still,
hijack one of those things.
Yep. And he
they
still
gotta-
believes that he's following his creed by not showing anybody's face.
Right.
But he's not in his Mandalorian armor.
Exactly.
So there's a disconnect, kind of, and Bill Burr's character actually points
Even
it
calls
out,
him out on it,
which is genius.
Yeah.
And that whole interaction there, again.
yeah. That is great
That was-
storytelling.
yeah.
That was.
and like just pointing out character,
Yeah.
and development.
Also,
Stuff like that.
whenever
It's true.
when Cara Dune jumps into the ship and knocks out those two stormtroopers,
Yeah.
I was just like, why do they even have helmets on if she's knocking them out by hitting their heads against the dash with their helmets on?
Yeah,
You think that would
Those
stop
helmets
that
aren't
from
working very well.
You think that would stop that from happening? Like that's why you wear a helmet, not to get a head injury. And they always end up hitting people in the head and then like smashing them. It's like at least take off the helmets and smash their heads together or something.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. That was another very small gripe I had about this episode.
Right.
But anyway, it doesn't really matter. No. But the funny thing too, getting into that, Bill Burr getting into the costume brought a bit of realism to. He's like, oh man, this guy stinks.
This guy stinks.
I love
His
that.
gloves are still wet.
Yeah, his gloves are still. It's so good.
Right.
It was so funny.
And then Mando comes around. He's in a stormtrooper outfit, and Bill Burr's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
look at you."
Yeah. He's like, that was the.
He's like, "That's worth price of admission just in itself."
Just to see you in that.
Yeah.
And then even she's like, I would tell you they look good in it, but I'd be lying.
But I'd be lying.
Yeah, right, yeah.
It's funny.
Well, and then that whole conversation that he has with him
In the ship.
he's like, "Yeah, you're pretty much like, you think, you're following the rules, but everybody has a line."
Yeah.
That they don't cross until you absolutely have to cross it.
Until things get messy or whatever he said.
And that's what he's pointing out to Mando.
He even asked him, he's like, what is the rule? That you don't show your face or you don't take off your armor?
Or that you don't take off your helmet.
They're two completely different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is perfect because it was like he was saying exactly what all of us fans were like.
Yes.
Yep.
They're giving us exposition, but in a way that feels natural in the show.
It almost breaks the fourth wall and sometimes.
Yeah. We're like, well, can he not take off his helmet? Well, he took off his helmet, but they can't see him because how does he sleep? Well, we know he can take off his helmet to sleep as long as nobody sees him.
But we
but
actually
is he
saw
not
him in an episode sleeping in his armor.
But then we also saw him sleeping with the
And
child
it's like, oh,
there
man, that's gotta be
in
a rough
the
life.
cockpit there when they were
And then
flying.
Bill Burr, he also draws comparisons to
the
Empire and the Republic.
Yeah.
Which
they're practically the same thing.
Which
Which if you think about
they've
it,
said
is
that before.
accurate.
in certain
Because
certain point of view.
Yeah, they go through that village, and he tells Mando, he's like, "Yeah, we're just
from their
this-
perspective.
it's like this is their planet. We're just invaders to them. New Republic, Empire, it doesn't matter. Everywhere somebody's either in charge or being ruled over.
I think the only difference there, and I think maybe this is why his opinion is slightly skewed, is because he's talking about it from still the Empire
Because he was an
view.
Imperial sharpshooter.
I think the difference, though, there maybe not, but I would say that at least the New Republic would say, works on treaties with them and works together with planets, and that's the difference I think between New Republic and the Empire.
Yeah.
Empire just shows up and is like, we're in charge now, you're under us, and we're going to take control. The Republic usually tries to set up ambassador systems and say, will you be an ally? It's more like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but
the problem is, I think push comes to shove. Sometimes the Republic...
The execution isn't always as perfect as they want it to be.
Well, and especially if they're defending against the Empire that's already on that planet.
Yeah.
I think that's whenever things get dicey because then there's a war that the planet didn't sign up for, but it's on their planet now. So that's the other problem. But it does bring a good... It's a lot of philosophical kind of debates that Bill Burr brings up, but it also, one of the lines he says is, we all got to sleep at night. And he's kind of making a point that, so whenever there's messy things on the line, Mando, you're crossing that line now, of the lines you wouldn't normally cross because things are getting messy. And that's what he's talking about. And then he says, but we all got to sleep at night.
Yeah.
So he's breaking his rules, Mando, really, in a lot of ways to do this, and he does even further in the episode.
Yes, he does.
And that's just that. I like that line that he says though about we all gotta sleep at night because it comes back later.
Yeah,
if you're doing what you're doing and you can still sleep at night, then
Well, and
And he's trying to get him to take his helmet off the whole time too,
Yeah,
which
he's
is
like,
funny.
you know, you can breathe better without it on, right?
Right, yeah.
Well, and at that point of the episode, we know that he obviously is willing to. This whole thing is to get the child back.
Yeah.
So he's getting
He's
Cara
desperate.
Dune to break her rules.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then bust his old enemy out of prison. And, Slave One and them, he's already got them in his back pocket.
Yeah.
But he earned that.
Yeah.
You know what
they
I
were
mean?
in debt to him.
So, he's obviously all in at this point to do whatever he's got to do to get the child, including, which nobody would have thought, probably Mando in episode 1 or 2. He's like, I ain't going to break my code,
Right.
my Mandalorian code, just to help some foundling potentially. You know what I mean? But it just shows already his character development to the point where he's actually willing to do that. And then Bill Burr just is able to like push
Drive
it
it home.
through. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, all right, you gotta take off your helmet now because, again, it was a little convenient at times. Like he's a little chicken, he's a little whatever. Well, the guy's gonna see me, and I don't want to do it. They're gonna recognize me.
Yeah. When they
But that's
found-
your
yeah.
job,
Well-
dude. Mando's like, if you're gonna die for it, you're gonna die for it. You're gonna rot in a prison, or you're gonna die with me.
Well, I think it was a little bit of PTSD too.
Yeah.
Could have been.
Because that ignited a lot
Yeah.
of
Yep.
memories, which
Yeah.
we find out
Which
about.
we find out,
A
So,
lot.
Oh man, that scene,
Which was so
that
good.
scene was heavy.
That was some
I
of the
was
best
like, oh
acting
my
I think I've
gosh.
seen in the whole
between
series.
that guy and the other guy, the
That-
bad
yeah.
guy, that was what was it? The commander?
Oh shoot, they say his name.
Valen.
I forget his name,
Yeah, I
but
don't
he's an
remember his
ISB.
name.
Valis or something.
Yeah, Valis.
But he's a-
I don't remember his name. Yeah,
fact
get that name,
checkers
fact
get
checker.
Also,
Yeah.
real fast, we got a comment here. Zarhimoto says, yes!
Yeah.
And then also, Isaac
they say that
says, love the Santa hat. Oh,
Love
yeah,
the
well, it
Santa
is
hat.
getting close to Christmas, so we thought we'd do some
Sith Miss.
very,
Sith miss.
very Hothmas.
Hoth miss.
Hoth
Yeah.
chocolate miss.
We like Christmas here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Valen Hess.
Valen Hess is the
That's
name of the ISB
guy.
agent, who was the commanding officer on,
Yep.
what was the name of the planet?
Burning.
Oh, shoot.
Fact checker.
Man, we're losing everything. We're losing our marbles.
Burning.
I'm
That's why, because Bill Burr's character was supposed to go to the Imperial Terminal in the
Burning Con. Yeah. They
in the
enact-
mess hall, the Imperial officers' mess hall. And he walks in and he sees Valen Hess, and he's like, "Oh, I can't do this because I used to serve under him. He might
Yeah.
recognize me."
Yeah.
And that's where you're saying like the little bit of the
PTSD.
PTSD
Yeah.
kicks in, and he's like,
He's like, gotta go. We can't
Yeah,
do this.
gotta
Mission
go.
over.
Well,
Which
and
is
that-
kind of like
yeah.
a little cowardly way out in some
It
ways.
is, yeah. But then Mando steps up and goes over to the thing,
He's like, fine, I'll do it.
and yeah,
That was a big surprise.
He tries to scan his face without taking the helmet off, and it's like, oh yeah, that doesn't work. And it's like, what is he gonna do? And he takes his helmet off.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait,
Yeah.
what? With a room full of people looking at you? That goes against your creed, man.
Yeah, I know.
Like, what do you even stand for
They
anymore?
all got, but we all got to
you
sleep at night.
criminal.
Yeah, that's what the line comes back. That's why it comes back.
Sure.
Yeah.
We
And then
all gotta sleep at
Bo-Katan
night.
walks in. She's like,
Right? I can't believe
Like,
you did
this is not the way. This is not the way.
Ahsoka throws a lightsaber through the wall.
Yeah, cuts him in half. Oh, God.
You have failed the Mandalorian.
All the rest of the Mandalorians show up. They're
Right.
like,
that's what I
not
mean.
the way.
It's like, dude, I know this good restaurant we got to check out.
Right.
Yeah, there's some Imperial
like-
people, but we'll stop
He's like,
in.
oh, look, a
We're
Mandalorian.
friends.
He took his helmet off.
Oh, wait, but he was in a
He's like, bro,
stormtrooper.
slow down.
He was in a stormtrooper outfit, so
Right.
they wouldn't have known.
That's true.
Wait, you're Mandalorian?
The other thing is, like, if you think about it, like, it's true. Like, the emotions, like, being nervous about breaking into, like, a top secret. Like, they make it look casual
Yeah.
because they survived
Yeah.
that
Oh my
like,
gosh.
video
Which
game
we didn't even
level.
touch about that.
Yeah.
But it was
touch
it was
upon that.
video game-esque,
Yeah.
like, battle.
Yes.
Like, I'm like,
was
okay,
like,
well, there's, like, the people
oh,
on the
yeah.
planet that you feel bad for. Everything's going, and then all of a sudden you get this, like, I like the suspense of, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
what's going on? Why are they blowing up?
Yeah.
The other ones.
Yeah, they're on the radio talking about, like,
Bill Burr's character's freaking
we're
out.
like, oh,
What's
we
up?
need to... And then it's just like...
Yeah, they
just
show it.
huge.
That's why
huge
it's so good.
explosion,
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, no.
And they even
What's
give
going
they even
on?
give a little bit of foreshadowing too, because when
Yeah.
they start driving, they see already
Yeah,
two
they're already-
destroyed.
yeah. I was wondering
Once
what that
they're
was all
like-
about.
Right, they're
that
like,
was the
"What's
first
going
clue.
on?"
And then they're driving for a while and talking and everything. And then Bill Burr's character's freaking out, which is hilarious.
Right? He's like, are you really shooting?
Well, and no, yeah, and right before that too, he's like, seriously, drive with caution.
Right?
Yeah, right.
Is she serious?
Is she serious?
Drive with caution.
Yeah, and then,
Oh,
are you
God.
seriously shooting with Rhydonium this
Right?
close?
Right.
That was so funny.
Yeah.
It
And then
was.
even when he's like, I should have never left that, or I should have gone there.
You should have left me on that
Prison planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
Yeah.
Again,
But anyway, okay, that whole scene happens, and it's like waves of pirates trying to blow up their transport
they're what?
of Ryu.
Yeah.
What is it called?
Rhydonium.
Rhydonium.
Is that from Rebels or anywhere
Yeah,
else?
so
It was in
Rhydonium shows
it was
up
in
in
Rebels.
Clone Wars. Actually, that's the one that
Okay.
what's his name?
I thought it was in Rebels.
It is in Rebels too. First, though, it shows up in Clone Wars with the one trooper that gets, I think it's Fives.
Fives?
Okay.
No, not Fives. It's the guy that they're looking
Echo?
for in the end of the Clone Wars with the Bad Batch.
Echo.
Echo. It's with Echo. That's what happens to Echo. Is Rhydonium. He blows up the Rhydonium, and they thought he was dead,
Space.
but he's not. I'm pretty sure.
Space.
Maybe fact check me on that one.
Yeah.
You might
But
be right.
anyway,
yeah.
that's
It
Rhydonium
was
in that
Echo,
episode
yeah.
that
It was
blows up, and then
Yep.
it also happens in Rebels. They're
With the whatever
those
they're
creatures.
called. Yeah.
It's in the first season,
Yep.
I believe.
Yep.
But they blow up these creatures with it, and it's fuel for
It's almost
starfighters.
like
Yeah.
it reminds me of like our nuclear
kind of, yeah.
stuff.
Low yield nuclear device.
Or just
But yeah, it's just more explosive.
Yeah,
I don't know,
it's very-
TNT or something.
yeah,
Like
it kind of is, or because it's very unstable.
yeah.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
clearly they couldn't drive too fast. It was getting shaken up. But
Yeah.
all of that reminded
very
me of a video
volatile.
game.
Yeah?
It's like
Yeah.
you got to
Oh,
drive,
for sure.
Yeah,
but you can't go too fast, otherwise
Right.
you'll die and it'll explode.
but there's
Yeah.
things attacking.
But
you.
now there's things attacking
Yeah.
you, so you got to
Right.
fight them off at the same time that you're staying stable in your thing.
Yeah.
And then it was just like one ship, and they were kind of like not as good.
Yep.
He takes them out
beat
pretty
them
easy for the
up.
most
Beats
part.
them up.
Figured
It
out
just
what
gets
they
harder
were
and harder.
figure out what they were trying to do.
It was like extra boss
Oh,
levels.
they're
Yeah.
using thermal detonators,
Which is
to
cool.
blow up
See
the
those
thing.
again.
Yes.
I love thermal detonators.
And then there was like two of them, and now it's like, okay, we're good. And then it's like
Yeah, it's
three
like
or
three
four.
of
of
Yeah,
them.
and like
and
15
they all
people
go
each.
ka-ching, 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 ka-ching,
yeah, that
ka-ching.
was
It's like,
hilarious.
what?
They're like they all just have. Why aren't they just throwing thermal
Yeah.
detonators
Yeah.
at them?
Yeah,
Exactly.
just lay them in the middle of the
Yeah,
road, get
but
ahead of them
then-
if they
Yeah,
could, and
they're
just set a
saved
trap.
by some haphazard
TIE
TIE
fighters.
fighters that are shooting in front of
That
them.
almost
at
blow them
first.
up.
Yeah,
I was like,
It's
what the
super
heck?
close. I'm
They're
like, what are you
cheering, and it's
doing?
like, what?
Right?
They
And
almost
then,
died.
and then
Yeah.
they get to the base, and,
then
the
they get
base
to
is
base,
like,
and they have stormtroopers with the best accuracy
Ever.
I've ever
They shot
seen.
every single
out
one
of
of those.
everyone.
First
Right.
shot.
Literally, they
You're
didn't
right.
miss a shot. And I'm
Yeah.
like, where are these stormtroopers been the whole
Right.
time?
They're ISB stormtroopers.
I don't understand
could've
what's going
been.
on right now. Yeah, it was like,
didn't they
what?
have their things already preloaded? I wanted to see some, like, when they fell, like some serious explosions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Because
true.
they all kind of fell and just limply, like,
I saw
Yeah,
there,
the things
there
like
was
just-
one that
It
he
didn't
was
make
like
sense.
getting,
He was
getting
about to
ready
throw
it, and he got shot and he dropped it, and
That
it
should have
didn't
blown
explode.
up. I
And
know. It
was
should have
like,
blown up.
I was like, why?
But it
wasn't
would have taken
primed?
out the bridge, and
Yeah,
then
I
that would
know.
have made
I think-
a lot of work.
Yeah. It didn't
Yeah.
really matter in the whole context.
Never
of things
been
and
so
Maybe
stuff.
they
happy
didn't
to
hold
see
the
the
charge
Empire save
long
the day.
enough.
Or they didn't
Because
actually-
if you
Maybe it
cook
wasn't
it,
primed. Maybe they unprimed it.
But why was he about to throw it if he didn't prime it?
Exactly.
He was
I
just
don't
throwing
know.
a rock at that
True,
point.
True. Well, maybe you prime it,
Oh.
and then what is it to make it go? I don't know.
Well, it's a timed explosive,
Yeah.
so it's a
Right.
grenade.
And
Basically.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they all should have gone like
I know.
boom, 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 boom.
It should have
boom,
been a chain
but-
reaction. They all
Yeah.
should have blown up.
The bridge
But-
should have blown up.
Unless they primed it, but they didn't set like the timer or something like that. I don't know. But
Yeah.
Who does that?
anyway.
Nobody knows.
But the other thing I wanted to
Stupid
touch upon
pirates.
was it was funny though because Mando started fighting them and it showed how awesome he was fighting even without his good armor and, and
Yeah.
gadgets.
Well, then
Right.
he realized he wasn't wearing his armor.
That was the funny thing.
because he just gets hit. And he's
Yeah,
like,
he gets
"Oh."
he blocks with his like thinking he has his Mandalorian armor
Yeah.
on, and he's like, that hurt,
Yep.
you know,
He's like,
because he doesn't have his Mandalorian
Yeah.
armor on, and that was super funny to see, and I liked that they actually took the time to show you that, and
Yep.
then he had to change his tactic.
Yep. He's like, oh, I can't take hits like that.
Yeah, and he actually seemed to move a little bit faster
He did
without his armor because I
Probably
think
was-
that
'cause it wasn't
armor
as
is a
heavy.
lot lighter.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was interesting to see, and it was fun to see. And he was the main thing though too for me was that he was good with a spear.
Yes.
He was good with that
Obviously.
spear, and he's got the
He's just like picks it up.
Yeah, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
And that makes
was
me
great.
it gives me a lot of high hope for him using a spear, that pure Beskar,
A pure Beskar spear.
in the next
Probably what
episode.
its weapon of choice is going to be from now on.
I think he's gonna fight. Moff Gideon.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
I think he's gonna fight Moff Gideon with
the Beskar spear.
The Beskar spear, and that's gonna be totally epic. But I still think episode 8 is going to end with a clear cliffhanger.
Oh yeah,
sorry,
of course.
Jump into that.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get into that whole scene though.
With Bill Burr, Valen Hess,
Bill Burr and Valen Hess. But basically, I love how he saves his skin. Again, the comedic timing and how he delivers everything, even whenever Mando's basically getting found out, and Mando's kind of like,
he's like, "What's your TK number?" He's like, "My TK number is."
Well, no, he's like, "What's your number or whatever?
What's your designation?"
He's like,
transport.
He's like, no,
he's like, what?
He didn't. Apparently, when he takes his helmet off,
he just gets dumb.
He's not as smart.
Just like,
well, I think it was like a combination of he doesn't play a nuance. Mandalorian usually shows up in armor as a tank and just kills everybody and walks out.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
He's not very good.
He's pretty blunt about.
He doesn't have
things.
much guile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what really showed in this episode. It wasn't a lot of like undercover stuff that he's done.
Well,
it seems like he would do that.
He
but
was really uncomfortable without his helmet on.
Yeah, you could tell.
I think that's what it was supposed to be.
It was good acting,
and even his armor, like he's used to just being invincible, like you said, and then he gets like beat up. He's like,
that hurt. I like that they showed that.
Yeah, I was like, oh shoot. As a fan, I'm like, oh no, he's not invincible now.
Yeah.
And you realize he's earned his way to be invincible. He didn't always have the best car.
Yeah, true.
But he's already using it as, I'm invincible as he blocks 40,000, shots for Fennec the other, last episode. And then the other episode before that, he's just like running out for the other Mandos.
Right, as a tank.
Leading the way because he's basically invincible. I still feel like I wouldn't want to like run into a hail of bullets.
Well, and his armor's not protecting everything.
Right.
Like, the Beskar's not totally protecting.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
He could have got shot in the neck.
What kind of deflection is there?
Stomach.
It's like, does the energy of the bolt like hit off, but there's still like some residual like effect to like push you back? I would think.
Yeah, you'd think. I don't know.
Percussive, whatever.
know.
But
unless the
Science.
Beskar, unless the armor just like creates like almost like a force field around you.
Maybe.
Yeah,
but I don't think it does.
It's got magical properties.
I want the Gungan like force field.
That was funny.
Personal force field.
Right. But that was funny.
So you wanted Jar Jar and Mandalorian.
Yeah, that's cool too.
Well, that was funny thing about episode 6 of season 1 was like, what's under that helmet?
You're
Gungan?
right. Yeah, Gungan.
That's why you don't want to show your
You
face.
don't want to show your face. That was so funny.
That was great.
Yeah, no, but anyway, that action was awesome. But then they get to the point where he takes off his helmet, and I did not see that coming.
I didn't either.
In this episode, I was like, that was the first thing I thought was going to happen. Especially for the rumors that we talked about.
Exactly. That's why I was so surprised. I was like, I thought he wasn't going to be on the show.
And that's what he was upset about.
Yeah.
But in some ways, I'm wondering if that still happened.
That was a misdirect.
No, I still wonder if that still happened, but to appease him or to be like...
Yeah.
But maybe not. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was just to promote.
I was right. Back in the day, it was all lies.
Right.
It was
I don't
all
know, man.
fake lies.
I don't know, man. I don't know if
it was
a
all
lie.
random. People trying
to
to dog on the.
Talking about the Mandalorian.
It could have been.
That's all it was.
I'm not saying that it was true or not, but it just.
I didn't believe it. It was somebody that didn't. Why would somebody want to dog on Mandalorian? Like, take your frustration out on the sequel trilogy.
Halfway through the season,
Mando is rocking and a rolling, and there were no signs. But it's 2020. No. Everybody's looking for something to get feisty about, stir up some emotion. Plus, there was no trailer at that point out. And everybody's like, "Oh, what's going on?" And the ifs,
problems.
The ifs bring out the doubters.
Yep.
But so far, all of that stuff, none of it's come true. It's all been like. Daisies and roses this whole season. I mean,
we don't know the behind the scenes stuff,
right? We don't, but
or it was a plant. It was George Lucas.
It could have been a plant. It could have been a plan, and to get people talking about it. I agree. It could have been that totally, or it could have been a total fabrication, and who knows? None of it could have happened, and it was just a rumor,
Mm-hmm.
Or a variation of that happened, and it wasn't as big of a deal.
Yeah.
And that's what I almost feel like. Maybe there was I think there might have been a variation in some ways that, like, he was slightly upset that everybody else is getting screen time.
Right.
Although he signed on for it, so that's why it makes me seem like it's not true.
Well, he had to know what was going to happen, Yeah,
but
you don't take your helmet off.
But what if they worked out this episode in some way so he got more screen time and FaceTime? But it's also showing growth for the character, so it still makes sense. So that's why I'm almost like, I don't know. I think they had this planned.
Right, yeah.
from the beginning
to come in and
in
show his
some
face
ways.
again.
Yeah.
But maybe not. Maybe they reworked the episode, because the other thing I noticed, and that's what makes me think that some of it's slightly true. If you look in the concept art, he's not wearing. In the concept art, he's wearing his
Mando.
Mandalorian armor. He's not wearing the other armor, and that's in the pre-production.
Is that why they brought in somebody to fill in last episode?
Who would have filmed?
Remember that? You said there was the director came in last second.
And it could have
Right.
been.
Maybe.
And that could have been.
Maybe there was a discrepancy and
Yeah.
they went a different direction.
And that's
Well, where there's
things are in
smoke,
flux.
sometimes there's
Yeah.
fire.
But sometimes it's
When
nothing.
there's fire, sometimes there's
And
smoke.
who
Sometimes
knows?
it's
it could
just
have been a lie. But,
smoke
screen.
but I think that rumor made us even. But in some ways, that rumor helped because we didn't think we were going to see his face. But then it totally surprised us
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
we saw his
same
face
here.
for a long time in front of a lot of people.
I know.
And
It
It
even
was. I thought
was
he would be
like,
like scan helmet.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is he's like going through it after he got scanned, like going through the menu, and I'm like,
Yeah.
put your helmet back on. What are you doing?
It was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
It was like
Everybody's
scan.
Everybody's freaking out for him. That's the
Yeah.
funny thing.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
we all felt like, oh, we need to get our helmets on.
All right.
Scan
Look
helmet.
at
Then he
me.
like has a whole like lunch and dinner meal with this
Right?
guy.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and it was that whole interaction, the whole sequence
that.
of that whole
Yeah.
sequence is what really I love about that.
I was hoping
this
they had some
episode.
some of that blue stuff from the first season, chapter 4, I think it was, where they had the blue.
Oh, that drink.
I was hoping they had pulled
They'd
that
pull
out
that
or
out
something.
again.
Maybe
That'd be
that's what he was
pretty good.
drinking.
But he takes off his helmet and then Bill Burr saves him, which I really like that interaction. But it's like he's winning over Bill Burr in a lot of ways in this episode. Working together.
Yeah.
They're working together.
Yep.
And,
Right.
and he takes off his helmet, so he's stepped out of his comfort
All
zone.
in.
Yeah.
That shows Bill Burr that he's willing to do whatever it takes. And I think it's
Yeah.
winning over Bill Burr in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So he stepped up for Mando here, but then it gets real dicey real quick.
gosh.
I mean, that's what
So
I
tense.
like, and that's what Rick Famuyiwa is so good at doing is tense
Yeah.
moments and keeping you on the edge of your seat for
Yeah.
a lot of the episode, and that's what I really like in well
Yeah.
executed ways. But it's this interaction between the ISB agent,
Yep.
Yeah.
that commanding officer, Bill Burr, and Mando that really sells this episode and
Yep.
leads it to its climax. Because then whenever it's funny because he's trying to get him out of the situation. He says that he lost his hearing on
Yeah. What battle was that?
it's one that
Lando references it in
Togue.
episode 6.
I forget the name, but anyway, it's in canon. It's a real thing that happened.
Yeah.
And he said he's lost his hearing, so then he starts yelling at him,
Yeah.
and that was funny as heck. And then, what's your name?
Trooper?
What's your name, Trooper? And he's like,
Well, we just call him Brown Eyes,
I was like, what is that? That's so funny.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was an ad lib.
right? They do mention they mention a lot of other stuff besides the battle of
Tanab.
Tanab.
Tanab,
Yeah,
that's
He
what it
pulled
is.
out a lot of canon stuff.
And yeah, they mention Operation Cinder, which is
And
directly
that's-
from
that's what's
Star
coming
Wars
up next,
Battlefront
yeah.
2. And then Bill Burr says he was in it, burning
Khan.
Khan.
So
He
and
was on
that's
the
what they
planet.
go into, and that's the thing. The guy, it's leading to a tense moment. You think they're totally busted at this point,
Yeah,
and because
yeah.
the commanding
Yeah.
officer, he's an ISB agent.
Yeah.
You think he smells a rat.
Yep.
And then he claps him on the shoulder because they were the only ones that made it.
Yeah. He's like,
Right.
let me
Yeah.
buy you a drink.
And then he's like, let me get you a
Yeah.
drink. And that was good. I like how they did it. And then that whole interaction of them sitting at the table.
Yep.
well, you thought it was
drinking
going
a
to
drink for the
burst right
toast.
there, and then like
Yeah.
Famuyiwa, or the writer of this episode, is like, no, we're not going to give it to you there. We're going to make you
Yeah.
sit in a
Yep.
more
Sit
intense.
Yes.
That's
And
level
give you so
one.
much
In a
exposition
campground. Oh
on
my
Bill
gosh.
Burr's character
Yeah.
that
He-
you can't help
He is
but like him.
very bitter
Yeah.
about it.
Well, and rightfully so. And
Yeah.
that's the thing
That whole, I was like, ooh, man, you're you're kind of like giving yourself away, because he was
He was
livid.
giving himself away.
Yeah.
I was
Well, he
like,
totally
whoa,
was.
settle
About
down, man.
Operation Cinder
You're blowing our cover
well,
here.
and that's what's so
being on Burning
Khan. And yeah.
and losing, like, because Burning Operation Cinder was
Yeah, you
they
wanna
shot
explain it.
lasers at planets to make the natural weather change. So
So-
it was just catastrophic
well, yeah, basically.
everywhere.
Well, I'll explain a little bit more too.
Yeah,
So Operation Cinder is basically was enacted after the Empire.
It was a contingency plan.
contingency plan if the Emperor died.
Yeah.
And so if the Emperor died, there was a contingency plan to destroy as many planets as possible.
Is that what was going on the Ahsoka's planet when we met Ahsoka?
Ahsoka's planet?
The planet where
The
we met
planet
Ahsoka, it was
no.
destroyed. The
That
planet was.
was-
Remember, they said she goes from planet to planet,
Oh,
destroyed.
no,
She's
that's something
taking the
different. She's
resources.
taking all.
So that's not
See, I'm
Cinder
wondering-
style.
I don't think so. I think it's just because she's ravishing the planet for all its
you
resources. It's not
remember-
necessarily the.
But she didn't
'cause-
have any stockpiles. Where's all this stuff? But
Well,
Right,
they're sending. She's
We don't
sending it
know.
away to be built.
Okay.
But it's also this Operation Center is these giant satellites
Yeah.
that shoot lasers down onto the planet. But that also will target specific cities to
Right.
also destroy. And that's what happened in Burning Khan. He was in his. He was with his trooper with
Yep.
his
Platoon.
and he's like the guy who's they're talking to. He's the one who ordered or granted
He was like
permission
the overseer of it.
for Operation Cinder on that planet, but it took out thousands of Imperial troopers,
Right.
Yep.
along with all the people fighting for their freedom on that planet. So there was a lot going on, and that I believe is what led him to leave the Empire.
Yeah.
And they give you all this in such a genius way, that whole sequence and that whole scene, because you're like, okay, how are they going to get out of this one? You're not thinking that. You're thinking, all right, they're
You're thinking
going to
what's
talk
gonna
their way
happen.
out
Yeah.
and get out, or something's going to happen.
Yeah, right.
But then he starts bringing up stuff. How about let's toast Operation Cinder.
Yeah.
And the ISB's like, oh,
like,
somebody
oh.
knows their history.
Right.
And he's like, no, I was there. And then you're like, at that point, I knew. I was like,
Oh, he was.
I was like,
This
this
isn't
is
gonna
going
end
down.
well.
Mando's like.
And so did Mando,
no.
and that's why I
Yep.
think they had to take off his helmet for this
Yeah.
scene, because they had to show
His
facial
expressions, yeah.
expressions for all
Yeah.
this. There's no way they couldn't have, because even Mando's like sitting there like,
Oh,
He's
snap.
like-
and then he
Oh,
looks
no.
at Bill Burr at one point, and he does
He's
a
like-
slight no, don't do it, man.
Yeah.
We got to get out of here.
Yeah,
Speaking
exactly.
of-
He's like, dude, what are you doing? Man?
Speaking of expression,
Bill
Bill Burr's
acting
face
in this sequence
my
is
gosh.
so good.
when that ISB
Yeah,
agent
when
is
he's talking
about it, and how it's like, oh, it was.
Which
it
I
was
think we have a comment
It was
about that, too.
necessary.
Yeah, Zahimoto said, I loved seeing his face. And his facial expressions while Bill Burr was talking was awesome. I want a meme with his eyes telling Bill Burr not to go there.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, because he was like, it's like we've all been there, but
Academy Award level stuff here.
gosh,
I mean, no
yeah.
joke. I mean,
It felt
that
like-
sounds funny to say in some ways, but how Bill Burr is acting through that whole sequence, how he's just trying to keep it together.
Yep.
And then it's that last straw.
Yep.
The last straw, when he says that line, you're just like, but the guy's dropping truth. That's the other thing that's so scary. And that's
Yeah.
why we think that the
like-
title of the episode is maybe about that guy, the believer, because he believes so wholeheartedly in the Empire.
Yep.
It's
He's
like
talking
the-
about
back to the-
Yeah, they don't want freedom.
People don't actually want
They want
freedom.
They want order.
They want order. Yep.
Yeah,
That's the truth.
and then when I can't even remember
It's a
what
very-
he says. He says it very eloquently.
very communist,
And then
social.
yeah, he's like, when they realize they want it, they'll let us do whatever.
They'll welcome us back with
yeah,
open
with
arms.
open arms.
And that's their goal.
Oh man!
He basically just described the goal of
Yeah.
the Empire
Yeah.
in this point.
And then that last that last line, he's like, "To the Empire."
Well, and
that's
as he's
the
saying all of that,
Empire's-
Bill Burr is like just chomping at the bit, and you can
He's
see
angry.
everything on his face.
Yeah.
It's just like
He's-
everything's working through.
You know, he's got PTSD for sure.
Yeah,
because
it's
he's
kicking in
remembering
hard.
all
Yep.
of it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it was almost like
Such
I said, watching a
needless
World War II
violence.
epic. Just
Yeah.
just take him not being the Empire, but being like a Nazi, like
Nazis,
SS.
Yeah.
Yep.
SS commander or whatever who was in these secret, missions, he's top, whatever, and then a soldier that like
Yeah.
wanted to leave the Nazi regime because he saw the horrible
Evil,
things
the
that they
horrible
were
things.
doing.
Yeah, exactly.
And
There was the fact
And there
checkers telling
was-
us that there actually was a Nazi leader named Hess.
Oh, I mean that makes sense.
That totally makes sense.
So-
Wow.
And this guy, that performance from that person,
he was
that
but
actor,
he was good. He was believable.
very good.
oh yeah,
bad guy
that's what I'm
performance.
saying. And
He's
Bill
a famous
Burr,
actor,
it would be
yeah.
an Academy Award if that were a World War II movie.
Yes.
and that was a World War
Yes.
II scene
Exactly.
in a German or a French town or something,
Right,
and then
yeah.
it was the other guy was just a Nazi. It's like substitute. That's
Yeah.
the kind of
You could- you
quality
could
that
do
we're
that.
talking about
Yeah.
filmmaking.
Yes.
And then you can see, I'm thinking of Tarantino's
Yep. The
bloody whatever they're
Inglorious
called.
B-turds.
Yeah, Inglorious
B-turds.
Turds. There's some tense
Yeah.
moments like that, sitting down at a
Yep.
table talking.
Yeah, the whole first-
somebody's
That's what it is.
scene
undercover.
of that
Somebody,
movie.
it's very similar to
Yes,
that.
yeah.
So,
Very similar.
but in the Star Wars universe, that's what we're talking about, film
Yep.
quality.
and I'm just very surprised at how well that whole scene was acted out by everybody involved.
Exactly.
And
Well,
it
it's
was
like
heightened.
the whole episode builds to that moment.
It does. It's
Yeah.
the climax.
And then like even after that, like the battle stuff like made sense because
Right.
they literally like lit the place on
They
fire.
had to shoot their way out, literally, which was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After he pulls out the gun, so basically Bill Burr can't take it. He says, the guy toasts, he says,
To the
Empire. And then
Bill
that's
Burr's
the
just
final
like,
straw for Bill Burr. And he's just like, he kind of smiles. And then at that point, you're like, okay, yeah, we
Yep,
know he's
it's
getting
over.
Shot. And he just pulls out the gun, shoots him. And the
Mando's
Mando,
like-
I love how the Mando's
He's just like-
reaction. He's like, he just looks at him like,
And then there's a shore trooper like walking and he
Yeah.
stops.
that was
shark trooper,
hilarious.
And Bill Burr's like,
He just starts shooting everybody.
yeah.
The other thing
that
about
was
the
great.
Yeah,
that
everybody
scene
just-
was great.
It turned into like a Western scene almost
Yeah.
at that
Yeah.
point that everybody's shooting.
saloon
Yep.
shot. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
I think I suspect that the believer is Bill Burr.
Yes.
Being confirmed by the other guy. In that moment, he could have shot Mando, and he could have shot. He didn't have the best car.
That's true.
He's got him undercover. He could have gone boom, boom, boom,
And got right back into the
and snuck
Empire.
away. You know, to put on the helmet and gotten out of there, or done whatever. So.
Yeah.
You know, obviously the show wouldn't let that happen, but
Right, yeah.
it was a
Plot
move
armor.
that he still stayed with Mando to finish the mission to get out of there, even though he knows he's probably going back to prison.
Yep.
You know, he never
Yeah.
tried to ditch him.
Yep.
The whole
No.
escape, he didn't have much choice, but he didn't. He caused the problem. You know,
Yeah.
obviously he didn't have much to live for, so he's like, well, you know, if this is it, this is it.
Yeah.
But that was, in a way, it was also kind of a
And-
risk to Mando because he's like, I might have just screwed over your whole mission.
Yep.
You're never getting the child back because now we're inside of a
We're
Yeah.
inside of an
base.
Imperial
There's only one
base.
bridge out of here.
Right.
But
At
that-
least they had some support. That was what
Yeah.
really saved them in the
Yes,
end.
Fennec, and I did like all that stuff.
Yeah,
the way
that
it
was
was
great.
shot, the war, like the
The sniper shots.
that was really cool.
Yeah.
I like the sounds. I like the look.
Yep.
And how they were both really good shot, taking
Yeah.
out, helping him out of there.
Again, like a video
infiltration.
game.
Yep.
It's like,
Yes.
all right, I'm going in. You snipe for me. You know?
And they had to take out the
Exactly.
anti-aircraft kind of weapons.
Yeah.
World War II, totally right there.
Yep.
And the line that Bill Burr ends up saying because and he also it's a moment there too, whenever they basically kill everybody in there, and then he gives them the helmet again. He said,
Yep.
"Nobody saw your
Nobody
face,"
saw your face.
Mhm.
Yeah.
which also is like is him respecting Mando's creed. In a lot of ways. So it's a mutual respect right there. They just had a moment. Let's
Yeah,
just say that.
they did.
Bill Burr saw him
They've gained
without his
respect
helmet.
for each other.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then Mando got to see one of the weakest points of Bill Burr and what he'd been through. So it was really
Yeah.
them sharing a moment and
Yeah.
growing together as characters and maybe a path to redemption and friendship in some ways. And I actually think, maybe we'll get to it at the very end, but I'll just say now what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I
just say
think
it.
they're leading to Bill Burr being in Rangers
Yeah.
of the New Republic.
Like he's going to join the New
I think he's
Republic
going to join the Rangers of the New Republic with
And then he'll be with
Cara
Cara
Dune.
Dune. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
hunt down the remnants.
Because there was that funny scene too. What did he say? Because he would be.
Oh, yeah. Whenever he was
They're
like,
going to leave.
he's like, oh, yeah. We really wish you could come. You seem like a bundle of fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what he
right.
said to
He's like, I
Cara
wonder,
Dune.
You're right.
wonder how you'd be in one of these things.
Yeah, that was so funny.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
But yeah, that whole sequence was amazing.
That was-
They made it out, and then the last thing he says too, whenever he blows up the Rhydonium with that perfectly sniper shot, because he was a sniper for the
He was a
Empire.
sharpshooter.
Yeah, yeah.
Sharpshooter takes it out from a distance in a moving vehicle or starship.
Yeah.
Starship.
They're
And
like
shoots
spaceships.
Like spaceships.
and explodes. And the line he says afterwards is perfect and kind of defines this episode in some ways was, we all got to sleep at night.
We all got to sleep.
We
at
got to
night.
sleep at night.
Yep.
Which is, it's basically playing to your conscience in a lot of ways. And that's why Mando is willing to give up his creed to save the child.
Yep.
And that's a believer in that. It's a
Yeah.
believer in
Mm-hmm.
doing what's right,
Yeah.
you know,
Sacrificing. Yeah. Something that you
a code or something that you live by in order to
Right.
save or
changing because you only change if you believe that the change is for the better or
Yeah.
or necessary.
The great
depending on
good.
who you are. Yeah, and even the ISB agent thought it was for the greater good.
Yep.
Mhm.
How he was describing it
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, which is faulty, but
Well, I've heard it said change is what? Proof beyond a reasonable doubt and what's in it for me.
yeah.
Yeah.
And for him at this
He
point,
said
it's
that,
getting
too.
the child. you know.
Yeah, and even Bill Burr's character said, "What's in it for me?"
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
A better view. And then they end up letting him go at the end.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a shame he died back
Of course, we
there.
were like on that planet
He's like-
where all those dudes are.
He's
but-
like, what do you
Right?
mean?
All
What
those
do you
aliens that
he's clever enough. He'll figure.
mean? All that?
and the
was
awesome
just-
seismic charge.
Yes.
And then the seismic
Ooh.
charge to end it all.
Yeah,
and we got the
so good.
seismic charge sound from the original trilogy we're going to
original.
play.
Oh, and I
we're
also...
gonna-
Oh, sorry.
Here we go. That was a lot.
So a little
I
more
almost
focus
prefer that
on-
one, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah,
That was a lot louder.
But again,
Let's all do it
thanks-
together.
It sounds like a didgeridoo.
Didgeridoo.
The throat singing.
Sorry.
Yeah, we will never do that.
Okay.
No.
Sorry, everybody.
We should drop another
But I think
song.
I think we should shut up. We can shut off the spoiler alert. But
Yeah.
it was an epic episode.
It was so
Oh,
good.
well,
so
that went in a
good.
different direction.
Should we touch on the very end of that
Oh,
episode?
yeah. We have to touch on
The
the very
message
end.
No.
that he gives to
Put the spoiler, man.
Moff Gideon.
Yes.
Yes.
So who wants to talk about that? Just say it.
Dan, you can talk
Dan
about
talks about it. You
Good
remember?
old M. Gid
it.
on his ship.
Yeah.
What?
M. Gideon.
Oh,
M.
and
Gideon.
M.
Gid.
Moff Gideon? Oh, M. Gideon. Okay. I was not connecting the dots there.
Goff
Wow.
Midian.
He, he's on a ship. We've seen that shot like 4 times already. Where like
Yeah.
the cronies walking like, and he's like
Moff Gideon.
looking very
you
angry.
have to see this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then
That dude
and
chick.
they give that message.
The dude chick.
And again, it shows the whole point of this episode is how attached, because he's not a Jedi.
Right.
The Mando is to the Jedi, to the child, and he's like, "You have no idea." It's like this cool
Yeah,
Well,
it's like
hollow
line-
message
Well, it's the
It's the
exact
line for
same
line.
lines. It's line for line the exact same thing that Moff Gideon said to him.
Yep.
In
In
episode.
episode 7.
He did personalize
Yeah.
it. The fact checkers saying that he personalized it, which is very true. So
Him.
Mandalorian had a
Yeah.
variation. So it was almost line for line, but
He's
there was a variation of
more
in his
important to me.
perspective.
Yeah, which is interesting because it was episode 7
Yeah.
of the first season, and here we are at the
Yeah.
end. It was at the end of episode 7.
Yep.
At the end of episode 7, different outcome.
Yeah.
Although, and to be fair, he's got the child. The child is in different hands.
At
Yep.
this point, yep.
At this point, the child has been with Moff long enough that I don't know. He could have been drawn and quartered
Yep.
for all we know.
Brainwash. Yeah, you don't know. We
So
didn't-
we're
taken
hoping
apart.
child's okay.
like
Yeah.
Nick said from the beginning, this is the first time we haven't seen.
Yeah. They didn't even
Baby
show
Yoda
him.
in
They
an
showed-
episode.
It's
they did not show him
uncomfortable.
the whole time.
It's an uncomfortable place to
yeah,
be.
it's
weird.
We missed the cuteness.
Yeah.
It felt like
We got humor instead of cuteness.
Yeah.
we got
With
humor.
really
well,
good
they,
acting.
and that's why I think he worked out so well because he was so funny. He brought the heaviness. He brought the funniness.
Yeah.
Because the rest of that crew isn't going to be funny.
no.
You're not
They're
getting funny.
straightforward.
Yeah.
If it's
So you gotta have
going to
some
be
humor.
ironic if it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a
You can use droids for humor. You can use
Well,
that,
kinda
but
like Boba said. Oh, they might recognize my face.
that
That
was
was clever.
That was
Yeah.
a good line.
but
Yeah.
Karo's pretty straight laced. Finnick is
Yeah.
obviously a robot.
From
and
the
then
torso up.
An assassin robot.
she's
now,
just
basically.
a robot.
She's just a robot.
Yeah.
She's a stomach robot.
Robo.
And,
Robo abs.
So
abs.
yeah, it was a good ending. I like
Yeah.
I like seeing the hollow.
Yeah,
know,
it was just basically like it tied it up. Like we better get ready for the next episode.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Some stuff's gonna
I
go
hope it's
down,
like
and he's
twice
coming
as
after
long.
him.
Yeah, is it like
Which
an hour? You think?
Yeah. That'd be nice.
That would, I
that
hope
would
it's
be
like
a
an
good
hour
one.
and a half. I
like
want
Doesn't
15
and you know it
minutes
doesn't
is
come
like-
out next Friday. It's the Friday after that, right?
Is it really?
I'm kidding.
no, it's coming out next Friday.
Oh, what if it was
Which
the
is-
Friday after?
You have
The
to wait
weekend
till
before
Christmas.
Christmas,
No,
the
it's
weekend-
Christmas. Christmas Day. is
That's
that
whenever it
next
comes
Friday.
out. That would be pretty fun.
Yeah.
Here's our Christmas gift to you.
Right.
That would be pretty awesome, actually.
That would be, but
Or they're gonna give us a surprise episode Christmas Day that they haven't announced.
that would be cool.
That'd be
So
cool.
next week is gonna be the cliffhanger. It's not actually the end of the season.
There's actually
Right,
9
there's
episodes.
one
episodes.
extra episode on Christmas
Oh my gosh.
that ties in and branches
I'm
off.
calling it right now.
All right, I'm shutting off the spoiler
Yeah.
alert.
If that
No more
happens,
spoilers.
if that happens, holy cow!
We are being tapped. They're listening to us right now.
No, we call it. We're
Yeah.
Star Wars prophesizers.
Gurus.
All right,
Wait,
so
you turn off the
Prophesizers?
turn
oh,
it
I
off.
can shut it on.
Or Star
Shut
Wars,
it on.
Star Wars synthesizers.
No, you can turn it off.
It's off.
It's off.
No
more
spoilers here.
No more spoilers.
Spoilers.
But yeah, it's
Spoilers.
we're excited, as
Yes.
I'm sure you are, for episode
Yes.
number
8. Oh, I can't wait.
16 now, and coming up on the